So in this episode of Watchmen, Angela, aka Sister Night, has ingested a full bottle of nostalgia pills that belonged to her grandfather. Now I wonder how many of you get the subtext of this message, that the ODing and on nostalgia. You know, there's been a lot of critics of this show. A lot of people coming out and saying that, you know, they're disappointed by the fact that they don't feel like this world that Damon Lindelof has created is a proper continuation of the work done by Alan Moore and David Gibbons. And you're right, it's probably not a good continuation. But why does it have to be? Why does it have to be a continuation of the original works of Watchmen? Why can't it just be another story set in this universe? And if you disconnect yourself from the original works of Watchmen and you look at this thing as its own thing, if you separate the two and you look at this as its own individual project, it's a fantastic show. It really is. It's well written. It's well acted. The cinematography is beautiful. The sound design, the music, everything. This is a fantastic show. And I think that the only reason that it's not getting the due that it's deserved is because people are ODing on nostalgia. We've seen it with Star Wars. We've seen it with Watchmen. We've seen it with so many other fandom-based properties. And honestly, like, we need to allow these things to evolve and to move in new directions. Otherwise, we're just going to get the same old stories over and over again. I don't know about you, but I was actually ecstatic with The Last Jedi. I was happy that you know, for the first time ever in the Star Wars franchise, we didn't know what was going to happen in terms of that follow-up film. We couldn't predict what was going to happen. And I think that's a good thing. And I think that, you know, the subtext of this message about swallowing nostalgia, we really need to start paying better attention to it, because we're way too dependent on it. You know, that's why we're getting so many reboots and rehashes of films that we've already seen and that we've already fallen in love with. And Hollywood is just giving us what they think we need. So let's grow up. Like, let's evolve as consumers, as culture vultures. Let's evolve and look for new stuff and applaud projects like The Watchmen. You know, I think that's important. I really, really do.
Meanwhile, back on the podcast, four colossal nerds named Summer, Chris, Christina, and Frank have set out to take on a great darkness that has enveloped the world of fandom. With their powers of common sense and the strength to take on even the most butthurt Twitter mobs and insufferable comment section trolls, they fight for truth, objectivity, and nuance in the conversation and debate over fictional made-up shit.
Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Meanwhile Back on the Podcast. I'm Frank.
I'm Christina.
I'm Picasso. Boom.
That was Chris, by the way.
I wasn't here last week, so I'm going to brag this week about how my spaghetti was a Picasso. I was right, boys.
Yeah, he's humble. He's humble for sure. So, yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. This is another Watchmen Aftershow episode. We're going to be talking about the episode that we just all saw, This Extraordinary Being. Fantastic. Let's give our first reactions here. Fucking amazing episode. Like, so good. Just blew my mind. Well, I don't want to say blew my mind in, like, there was like a lot of surprises in this episode. I kind of knew once the nostalgia pills were in Angela's system, this was the road we were going to go down. But the gravity, the weight of the commentary, what was said socially, was what was so shocking and what was so impactful for me. What do you guys think?
I thought, at the very least, I mean, I loved it for sure. My favorite part of this episode was the cinematography. I thought it was like a step above the rest of the show, and that's saying a lot because I've praised this show for its cinematography before. Like this whole thing, there was maybe like 10 cuts, and it was all continuous shots, and the color contrast was so beautiful. Like I can just talk an entire episode about the cinematography, but the content itself, I do agree. Like there's a lot of really good social commentary in there.
I love the intensity of this episode.
Yeah,
and also all the developments that happen with the characters and how everything starts to tie together. So
yeah, no, it was goddamn powerful. It was a very, very powerful episode, and I definitely walked away with a new perspective on a couple things from that episode, just because of some of the things that I saw and some of the things that I kind of mentally pieced together as I was watching it. So let's start at the beginning. We open up on Hooded Justice, a very recognizable figure in the world of Watchmen, sitting across the table from what our first appearance seemed to be two police officers. And there looks like they're interrogating him, but it's not really an interrogation. It's more of like a situation of blackmail, a quid pro quo. They want to get something back from him, and apparently it's some sort of incriminating photo of J. Edgar Hoover, the director of the FBI, in some sort of sexually compromising position with Hooded Justice's boyfriend, or the guy that he's banging, Captain Metropolis. Yeah, Nathan Gardner. I think that was his identity. And they basically tell him that they want to take a photo of him and ask him to get the photo back or to have the photo destroyed, that he needs to go into Captain Metropolis's bedroom and get this incriminating photo back for them. And as they load up the camera, ready to take a shot, Hooded Justice unleashes on these fuckers and decimates both of them in this room. And then we pull back out and we realize it's not a flashback. It's a scene from American Hero Story, the TV show that's been kind of a continuous thread during the Watchmen series. There's been this TV series that's kind of been establishing, some interesting narratives about the actual Minutemen and what their history was like. And then from that point, Agent Blake comes into the precinct, tells everybody to turn the shit off.
Yeah, that was my favorite part.
Yeah, turn that shit off. Like I think she
said crap. Turn that crap off.
No, she said shit.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she said shit. I don't see her missing an opportunity to use the word shit. I really don't. So she goes over to the cell area, and there's a guy with a clipboard, and he's like, you need to get her to sign this now. You need to get her to sign this now. She needs to get to a hospital. She needs proper care. And it's revealed that he's obviously talking about Angela. And Angela's in her cell, and she looks fucking distressed as fuck. Mm-hmm. Like she knows something bad is about to happen to her, and you can just see the anxiety and just the fucking dread on her face. And Agent Blake doesn't even miss a beat. She's only concerned about where her fucking grandfather is. Like,
she's
where's your grandfather?
She's trying to get as much information as she can before Angela
she goes bonkers.
Out.
That's true.
She actually thinks that Angela is going to turn into a vegetable. She doesn't think that Angela is going to
She
survive.
literally says to her, goes, you're about to become a vegetable.
And also because she took someone else's memory. She says you're not supposed to take someone else's memory.
Yes.
That was some fast thinking on Sister Knight's part, actually, in the previous episode of swallowing the pills. Because obviously, like, at that point, like that decision, it's like that can turn her into a vegetable. She considered that really fast, and she said that's the only avenue I have to go down.
I feel like she's impulsive. She doesn't know the consequences of her decisions sometimes.
No, I think she studied that. I think she fully understood what she was doing in that scenario.
I felt like she was backed into a corner.
Yeah,
and took a very hard decision because it was better than the other decision, which is just lose control.
She was going to be arrested, right?
She's going to be arrested.
Yeah,
She's going to lose all control.
I think she knew something bad was going to happen, but I don't think she knew what.
No. We'll pedal back for a second into the last the episode before. So when Looking Glass kind of traps her around that cactus and gets her to kind of admit what's going on, she realizes once Blake's out of the room once Blake comes into the room, she's going to jail. She's arrested, mm-hmm. right? Because she circumvented an investigation, however you want to put it into words. So her goal is to find out who the fuck this man is and how she's tied to him and blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
So her only recourse at that point is to take those nostalgia pills
But
to kind of figure out who he is.
I think what I
Right?
mean too is that it's something that's been banned for a long time. So all the people in the current world don't really know
That's
a lot
true.
about it.
Yeah.
That's
so
true.
That's why Agent Blake knew everything about it, and she was telling Angela like exactly what was going to happen to her 'cause she was around when this was like popular kind of thing.
That's true. Angela probably definitely knew about the consequences of ODing on that shit. 100%, because it was a very public thing. Apparently, during the exposition, Agent Blake is explaining to her how these pills are made. They stick microchips
Right.
in your brain, apparently,
Creepy. Holy
and
Yeah.
it like siphons memories,
That was
and then they
cool.
put it into pill form, and then you just pop it, and you get to relive the fucking memories that are stored in your brain.
Now that I don't understand, because why would Will Reeves have chosen these certain memories?
No, as part of the conspiracy, because he wants her to see the truth, right? So
Yeah.
he wanted her to see this whole.
So
this
he-
is all part of his
so
plan.
he knew that at some point she would take it.
You think so?
Will Reeves? No,
You think
Will Reeves
so?
left the pills there for her to take.
You think-
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, it's part of his plan. 100%.
Huh.
Like, because remember at the end of, well, I mean, we'll get to it, but at the end of the flashback episode or whatever, what are we calling it?
The what do you mean?
nostalgia episode, or nostalgia like trip. Like, you see Judd Crawford at
Oh
the
yeah,
end.
yeah, yeah.
It's-
Let's.
No, I'm
let's
just saying.
not-
I'm just
yeah,
trying to prove.
okay.
I'm just trying to
Yeah.
prove my point, which is like he definitely left those pills there for her to take.
So he made them specifically for
Oh,
her
yeah,
to
oh,
take.
yeah, yeah.
Because if you're
Okay.
just gonna randomly,
He didn't. The lady True
if,
did.
if it was for himself, he wouldn't have chosen these memories to relive. So.
So he's pretending to be feeble and demented and all these other things. The pills aren't actually.
They were never for him to begin
The-
with, because why would he have chosen? To
Yeah,
live
it's
through,
part of their
like,
plan.
All these
100%.
beatings.
Sure. But the pills are used in cases of dementia.
Yeah, that's not that. It doesn't mean that he had it because he has dementia. It just means him and Lady True have this technology of making somebody see truth, right? And that's what they wanted.
So it was part of their plan.
It's part of their plan.
Okay.
Right? It's
Okay.
not a thing that like it's not a thing that he had. I don't think for himself. It's just like it's not a coincidence that Lady True works with this stuff.
I
right?
hope it's part of their plan, because otherwise it was too convenient. That
It's definitely part of their
Yeah,
plan.
otherwise it's way too convenient that it had all those specific memories.
Okay. So what we're saying is the feeble guy in the wheelchair is an act.
Yeah, well, we already
Yeah.
knew that from the
Well,
end of.
We knew he could walk, right?
Yeah.
But even at the end of this episode, he's still in the wheelchair with nobody else around but Crawford.
But at the end of if you don't like my story, write your own.
Yeah, he gets up
they
in the
admit
wheelchair and
that
walks
it's a
around.
scheme,
You know,
yeah.
that
They're
is-
talking about it being a scheme.
Oh, they talked about it specifically?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that part.
Is something to be
I
said
didn't pick
about.
up on that.
We've only. I mean, this is okay. More spaghetti.
Because he said she's gonna know what I did in
Exactly.
3 days.
Yeah,
right?
which
TikTok,
is the
TikTok.
pills. Which is the pills, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But like, there is something to be said about him only ever getting up in the clock tower or whatever it's called.
Like in the where True was.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Why wouldn't he get up when it was only him and right? Like when it
Yeah.
was only him and Judd Crawford.
Yeah.
There's no reason for him to get up unless like his act just goes that deep, right? I don't know. This might be like a long shot, but maybe he can only stand up in this clock tower. It does something to him or something, right? Like because it's I don't know. That's just a that's
Maybe.
just a left field thing, but
Maybe.
we'll see.
Maybe. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so after Agent Blake tells Angela about how these nostalgia pills are made, she tells her that she needs to sign this waiver so they can get her stomach pumped and save her, right? Because obviously she's ODing and she's headed in a very fatal direction in terms of she could die, she could go fucking insane, turn into a vegetable, whatever.
It's kind of weird that they need consent to save her if it's like a life-threatening situation.
You definitely need consent to fucking sign to
Pump
get
someone's
your stomach pumped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
Like
interesting.
if you're unconscious, it's one thing.
Yeah.
But if you're like if you if you still have some faculty, I think you got to fucking sign it.
Wow.
Did you guys also catch that during her last minute interrogation of Angela, she's like, "Those were your grandpa's pills. Those were your grandpa's pills. Lady True makes these pills." Like
Oh yeah.
she says True was the one that invented these pills, right? So she's like, maybe Lady True knows your grandfather. That was interesting. The fact that
missed
I
Blake
don't
is
remember that exact line. I think maybe that
I'm
was
paraphrasing.
an implication.
I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah,
I'm totally paraphrasing.
I didn't
so
catch
she's
that.
onto something.
Yeah, Agent Blake's onto
Yeah.
it. Like she knows that her grandfather has something to do with Lady True at this point, and she's just trying to fucking piece the puzzle together. And she continues screaming at her, "Where's your grandfather? Where's your grandfather? Tell me where your grandfather is." And then boom, she fucking totally falls into the nostalgia trip, and she's on a stage in front of a bunch of people dressed like a police officer in what looks like the late 1930s. She's the only black cop on stage. Everybody else is white. And there's a white cop on stage, and he gives a very interesting speech. Well, he's at the podium. He says, "I want you to think about what you're wearing, what you put on when you wake up, and what you take off when you go to bed. The uniform a man wears changes him. Make sure yours changes you for the better. God bless you for taking an oath and honoring the badge." And I think that this is really indicative of the themes that have been set in this show, in terms of the duality of people,
Right.
the masks and what they do, the purpose that they serve for people, especially what you can do behind a mask and what you're not willing to do not wearing a mask, right? There's certain things that you're totally willing to do, wearing a mask and with nobody being able to see you, right? So I think that this is very indicative
you're
of that.
More violent for one thing.
Well,
you're not afraid of.
You can't say that about everybody.
Assault.
You can't say that about everybody, right? Like, you definitely can't say like you could put a mask on just anybody and they would turn
You're
into
less afraid of
a violent
consequences,
person.
for sure.
Yeah, you're less afraid of consequences, and you're probably less inhibited, right? And I mean less inhibited in every way. Like, obviously, there's a huge reason why masks are a big part of BDSM, right? Like, like it totally makes sense. And then after this speech, one of the white officers is handing out the badges and, finishing the commencement for the officers, and he passes over Will Reeves. Won't touch him, won't engage him. And then they actually have to have,
which is weird because later on they were like, they hired me because it's a publicity stunt, so that we look good hiring a black officer. I mean, you just skipped over your black officer. If this is a publicity stunt
with media,
it's weird.
With
right?
media in the crowd.
Yeah, it's a press
too.
conference. So,
yeah,
or sorry, it's an inauguration.
Yeah, commencement or whatever they call it. Yeah,
I think it was because of the acts of violence that were happening in Tulsa against black people. So they were kind of trying to make their city look better.
This was Jersey.
Oh,
sure.
Yeah. This is New York City.
Sorry, New York City. Jersey was the last episode.
Right. Okay,
yeah.
bad.
It's okay. I'll take that out. So Will gets passed over, but apparently there's a black officer that's been there for a while, Lieutenant Battle, and he comes over to Will and he says, I have the honor of giving you your badge. And then Will says, Lieutenant Battle, you're the whole reason I joined the force. So obviously, but then as they're finishing their conversation, he says, beware the Cyclops.
Yeah.
And we don't know what the Cyclops is yet, but obviously it's a very ominous fucking thing to say to somebody.
Was there ever a Cyclops in the comics? If there was, I don't remember.
I don't remember a Cyclops in the comics, but the Cyclops is always kind of like, the one eye has always kind of been very ominous and very, cultish and very kind of, people talk about it being attached to the Illuminati and shit like that.
If you guys notice, Ozymandias had an eye on his suit last episode.
He did.
This space suit. It was the Egyptian eye, but it's
I didn't know
the Eye of Horus. Yeah.
Interesting.
Eye of Horus. That's right.
Yeah. Ozymandias was big into the Egyptians and like Egyptian culture and because well, we don't need to digress back to the movie because there's actually something kind of really cool with the Egyptian stuff. Yeah. So they cut to Will. He's in a jazz club with an African American woman, the same one that was in the audience during the commencement, and it turns out this is June, played by
Danielle Deadwyler.
Yes, Danielle Deadwyler. What a last name. So they're having a conversation, and she keeps referring to him as officer.
And he hates it.
He's not digging this.
Well, it's the way she's saying it.
Yeah.
She has a tone.
She's pretty much like saying, "Hey, like are you selling us out? Like, are you gonna be one of those guys with a stick?" She even said like they give you a gun and a stick.
Yeah,
that's all that matters because like that stick and that gun has been used against us.
Yeah.
She says, "What are you gonna do with it?"
Yeah, what are you gonna do with it? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and she's like,
so I like that.
She's like, you're an angry man, and I'm worried about what you're gonna do with a gun and a stick.
Mm.
Right?
Which is weird because it never. That was the one line that I thought was kind of out of place because they say it a lot. Like you're angry. He even says that I'm angry. I never saw it once. Like I never felt it from him once. It was very.
I only felt the rage during fights.
Yeah, I felt it when he was hooded. I didn't feel it when he was playing his officer character because he was like trying to fit in.
So like I don't know, that line I thought was like underused or like just underrepresented with him. I mean like
unearned.
Sure, when he's like hooded, he fights violently, but like every time there's a hooded thing, they all fight that violent, right? It wasn't unique to his character.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like I felt like that line could have been upplayed more. Or like not even used.
Well, we don't know what else he's capable of. We didn't see his full history.
but this was the episode to show it, right? If you didn't show it in this episode, it was done. Like because we're never gonna. I don't think. I mean, we don't know, but like I don't think we're ever gonna have another one of these kinds of episodes.
Yeah, because he never yelled at her. So and well, we saw the one.
There was the one
incident with the kid. I guess he kind of gets like a little aggressive with the kid.
But even then, like he was in a heightened sense of like
it wasn't that
emotion.
bad. I was like, really, you're leaving because of that?
What did you guys think of young Will Reeves, the guy that played him? His name was Jovan. I
liked him a lot.
Adepo. I thought he was a fantastic actor.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I liked
fantastic. His performance was fucking insanely good.
Well, while we're on this aside, I just want to mention something about the cinematography. I love how they have this like, and they talked about like their Schindler's List, the episode before.
Yeah,
this reminded me a lot of Birdman, first of all, and a lot of Schindler's List because everything was in black and white except for very like specific things. And what I love the most, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I mean, obviously you notice like the woman playing the piano all the time.
Yeah,
that was his mother.
Yeah,
that was his mother. Like that was so good. That was well done in my opinion. Like this whole thing where it's like this one memory that he's had his entire life obviously would get played back when he's thinking about his memories, and then when they turned it into pill form, he would remember that one memory of Tulsa 1921 or what, when is it 1921?
Yeah.
Of his mother playing the piano while he was watching that black and white movie.
Yeah.
And she was there throughout, and she was the only one in color for the most part.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like super brilliant.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, and it's it's funny that you bring up Birdman because the creative team has not hesitated to say that Birdman was a huge influence on the way that this episode was shot and edited and put together, and the way that the shot design happened. So yeah, no, that's very very keen.
And
eye.
I noticed the only time, so I love the long continuous shots. I always think that's like that's very hard to do.
It's challenging.
Especially transitions.
It's completely challenging. Yeah.
And I feel like the only time they cut is when he's remembering the Tulsa massacre.
Yeah.
As if it's something like it really puts into your head that this is an event that's with him his entire life, even though he's said that was a long time ago, which he had said when he was talking to his wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like you can tell that like he's getting these, like it cuts to like the Tulsa massacre, and it's like you can tell like it's always on his mind, like he's lying to his wife when he says that.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. And I think she knows it too because she keeps telling him. Like,
that
she,
angry
and she reminds him, she says, you saw your parents killed in front of you. Right. And at that point where she's telling that story, they actually cut in a Ku Klux Klan member behind them in the bar, killing a woman on the floor. I don't know if you guys caught that. There was all little visual.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of like visual
the
tricks.
Shit out of me when the car was driving and it was dragging.
Oh, yeah, that was
because
like,
that was the first time they did that. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
That was fucking disturbing.
Because the cops are so corrupt. So yeah, I thought that was pretty.
That was
he knew
fucking
he shouldn't
disturbing.
get in. Like he just had a bad feeling. He's
Yeah.
like, screw it, I'm not going for a drink with these guys.
Yeah. So so we get to see his first day on the beat. He's walking around the city. He stops to a news guy, kind of says hello. The news guy is surprisingly cordial and nice for 1939 New York, which is great. And then he walks around the corner. It's this fucking fat white dude throwing a Molotov cocktail through the window of a Jewish delicatessen.
Yeah.
And bursts in flames, and the guy just fucking walks away. And William's
He's like, "Hey,
stop
hey
in the name of the
yourself."
law.
I think
yeah,
there were
yeah, hey yourself.
there was already a lot of diversity in New York at that time, so it's not surprising that the newsman would be friendly to whoever.
He was also a foreigner. He was like Russian, I think, Russian or
yeah,
something.
no,
Something.
no. I'm saying like what I'm trying to say is that in the context of the way that they did this episode is that there was actually somebody where there wasn't friction.
Yeah,
With-
but
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I think that would make sense
Even-
in New York in 1939.
Yeah, even the dispatch officer, like, wasn't racist. The guy that actually tried to help him,
Yeah,
he was like, "I'm just trying to help you. Like, this is the world." You know what I mean? Like,
True.
there's at least some officers that aren't like
true,
completely against them for
true,
sure.
true.
Yeah.
So Fat Boy throws a Molotov cocktail through. He starts walking down the alley. Will goes after him. He says, "Stop in the name of the law." And the guy goes,
Laughs at him.
"Don't they just say that in the pictures?" And he keeps walking, and Will finally catches up to him, and he wants to, like, he's like, "Who are you? What's your name? Blah, 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 blah." And he calls him boy, which is fucking shitty,
Yeah.
and blows smoke in his face. This guy has no fucking respect or no sense of like, he acts with complete impunity
Mm-hmm.
right in front of a cop, right? No sense of like any sort of consequence for his actions. And he says, "You're under arrest," and he makes the joke of, "Yeah, well, we'll see how long that lasts," or something
Yeah,
like
I kind
that,
of thought
right?
it was gonna turn out to be some kind of mafioso or something.
He
No.
was technically not
Yeah.
mafia, but
Yeah,
he was
he
Cyclops.
had like that vibe. Like I just had this vibe that like he was gonna be somebody.
So he gets pulled into the precinct, takes him up to the takes him up to the booking desk, and the fat white guy starts lying. He's like, "Yeah, there was a bunch of, rats or animals or whatever or something that set that fire. I didn't do it, da 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 da." And Will's like, "I was there. I saw the whole thing." Like, and he uses a racial epithet towards Will, and then one of the white cops kind of steps in as like a hero figure for a second, and he says, what did he say? "Oh, what did you say what did you say to my fellow officer?"
Yeah.
And then he walks in, grabs this fucking fat guy, takes him out. Should I be saying fat guy?
You can say whatever you want.
No, I know, but should I be saying fat guy? What?
It's funny that you're like so stressed about whether or not you can say fat guy,
Well,
but
I
you
don't
said
know.
like so many other things.
What have I
Yeah,
said?
Fuck it, man. Say whatever you want.
What have I said?
We did a whole episode about Fat Thor.
That's true.
Yeah, that is true.
That's true. Okay.
I mean, he was also a bad guy. You know what I mean? If it was
True.
just some character who's fat, it probably wouldn't be calling him fat guy.
true.
Like,
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure someone's
that
gonna
guy-
yell at you for
that guy's a
it,
piece
but-
of shit, so we can call him whatever the
Not
fuck
for
we
fat
want.
white guy. Maybe fat black guy might get yelled at
Yeah.
for. All right. Sorry. Yeah. So, sorry, I count myself in. Yeah. So, as they're booking this guy, the white cop takes charge, grabs the arsonist, the guy that's committed arson, this Fred guy, takes him out, and makes this symbol on his forehead, this Cyclops symbol, apparently. So things are starting to thicken here at this point. Yeah. So Will goes back out on his beat, and he walks past a newsstand, and this guy's reading a very iconic piece of literature. What's he reading, Chris?
Superman.
Action Comics #1.
Yeah.
By
That was
Jerry
so sick.
Siegel and Joel Shuster, 2 Canadians that got fucked over.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's amazing how, as he's explaining the story to Will's flashing back to his own life, and in the same kind of like the very same circumstances of having to abandon his home
Mhm.
as his parents are certain to be killed or to die.
Right.
It's almost the same thing in Superman. Like, he has to kind of leave. His parents send him away. Same thing, right? And they kind of make this connection between the two stories. And I really love this because
That's good. I didn't even consider that.
You didn't consider
that's
it?
really
Yeah,
cool.
I didn't think
Yeah,
of
it
that
actually
either.
like you can actually tie it to a line that it says later in the episode where he was like so he's talking to his wife and he says like, "I was holding you. I found you inside of the street with his wife asks him to tell him about the day they met, and they're like, "I found you in the after a wrecked car." And Tulsa's burning behind me. And
Yeah.
as far as I knew, I was the only one alive in this world.
yeah,
It was like, that's exactly Superman right
exactly,
there, right?
exactly.
That's crazy. And
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, 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 and I really loved that. I thought that was a great echo for sure.
Yeah.
Like, a great connection. And funny because they do share the same, well, not the same universe per se. Right now in Doomsday Clock, the Watchmen world and the DC universe are kind of connected. And Superman is actually going to fight Dr. Manhattan, apparently.
Huh.
That's what I'm hearing.
Interesting.
And Dr. Manhattan's a complete ex machina even against Superman, so I don't know how the fuck that's going to happen.
Yeah, he's weak against
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. So he sees this Fred guy out on the street again, the guy with the Molotov cocktail that set the delicatessen on fire. And he's like, what the fuck? He's like, how the fuck is this guy back on the street?
Yeah.
Goes back into the precinct. He's talking to the booking desk guy. And he's like, what happened? Like, how's this happening? He's like, just leave it alone. Don't bother it, right?
Yeah.
Don't upset this cart of eggs. Like, just leave this shit alone.
Yeah.
And he lets him know basically that there's something bigger than him going on in a very kind of subtle way. And he says that, and Will says the whole thing about the Cyclops thing. And he goes, what's this all about? Like, I saw him do this to you. And he goes, that could be the hole in your head. And I was like, oh my God, holy shit. And
That's crazy.
yeah, so he leaves the precinct and we cut to him walking
Did you guys
home.
notice when the precinct was just a door?
Oh,
like-
when he first
Yeah.
came
That,
out?
that was really
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Like as if that building is just completely empty.
Yeah.
Like, of all like what it stands for. Like I love that imagery.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
think
that
it
was
was
really
I think it was a visual styling thing that they went for sure.
Yeah.
He was walking home at night and the cops, the Cyclops cops pulled up in their little car and they're like, "Oh, come get a drink with us." And he's like, "Nah." He's like, "I'm good." Or no, they offered him a ride. He's like, "No, I'm good. I'm walking." They're like, "Oh, come have a beer with us." "No, I don't think so." And he goes down an alley thinking that, they've gone on their way, and they fucking pull around the corner and they all jump out of their car and they're like, yeah, that's not going to work for us, dude.
I think he saw the bodies dragging behind the car.
No,
too,
that was a visual trick.
Oh, okay.
So what
yeah,
that was?
I don't think he saw them.
so it's
though.
not real.
So it was juxtaposed with Tulsa, with the Tulsa massacre.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
he sees that all the time because
Okay.
he's kind of like, that's a memory he has.
So
it's
he
like,
just didn't
it
trust
melts.
them, and so he
Exactly,
put
yeah.
that there. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought the cops were just like really fucked up people.
Yeah, no.
What?
I thought it was real.
You thought that was real, dude?
I
Holy
did
shit.
at first too, because I'm like,
I was
because
like,
that
"Oh,
was
these
one of the
cops are
driving
so
around New York
fucked
City with
Because
two dead African Americans.
I thought they were just real bad.
Holy shit.
apples.
I thought that was like because that was the first
Holy
time they did a
shit.
visual trick like that besides
Yeah.
the door.
Yeah.
So it took me a second. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And then I realized like, oh, so they're doing this whole Tulsa thing. After that scene,
That makes
they
more
did
sense
that more
because the
and then I'm
bodies
like,
were
yeah.
in color. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
all the stuff that's in
Yeah.
color is like not.
Yeah, it
real.
was like a hallucination. It was like a
Yeah.
warning. It was like a trigger, like just to kind of tell him that you probably made the right decision here, right?
Mhm.
And little does he know, they pull around the fucking corner, they jump out of the car, and they're like, yeah, we're not cool with that shit. They beat the fuck out of him. They take him into an abandoned field where they find a giant tree, and they
Reminiscent of Judd Crawford.
That's why. That's
reminiscent
why I
of
thought
Judd
it was
Crawford.
real. It didn't really seem like a stretch after what happened.
Right, exactly.
next.
Yeah. They freaking hang him right after,
They-
right?
Yeah,
So
they,
fucking
and
hang
then they
him.
cut him down. They like made it. They waited until he started choking,
Yep.
and then they cut him.
That's
down.
some fucking intimidation.
Yeah,
right
and
there.
they tell him-
hazing. Holy shit!
And they say you better keep your whatever nose out of our business, N-word. And they're like, and if you don't do that, then we're just gonna leave you up there next time.
I like how they switched to Angela for that scene because she's really good at that. But at the
Yes.
same time,
I
at
love
the same
that.
time, I wanted to
I
see
love
him
that.
do it.
No, I love
love
that.
it too. But
Yeah.
like, she's done that already. Like, we know she can do that, and like, don't get me wrong, I love that she did it because she's really good at that. But I wanted this actor to do it. Like,
I almost felt like-
he could have done. Anyways, so go ahead.
No. I think he could have done a great job too, but
Yeah.
I almost felt like she would bleed through when the shock was just so
Yeah.
unsurmountable
Yeah,
that like her mind would take over,
yeah.
right? Like her shock at experiencing that, because he's already experienced that, right?
Mm.
But her experiencing that was like a whole other
Mhm.
fucking
yeah,
ball game,
I
right?
think that was important.
Yeah.
Oh,
actually,
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of it more from like to see his talent from like a production perspective,
Yeah.
not from a story perspective. For
Yeah.
a story perspective, I completely agree with the decision, and I like seeing Regina King do these roles, like these like emotional scenes. She's really good at it, right?
Yeah.
But again, like, I just wanted to see the actor, what he could do, you know?
Been cut down. He's walking home. He's still wearing the
Completely
fucking noose
traumatized,
around
yeah.
his neck. He's still
Yeah.
wearing the bindings around his hands. Completely traumatized. He's holding the hood in his hands, and like you can actually see this actor physically shaking from the trauma that he's imagined.
Very
This
sloppy
character
of the cops,
experiencing.
I realized.
Sorry.
Very sloppy of the cops. I guess
don't-
they
I
don't
don't
care.
think-
I think they know that
I don't think
nobody's
they're
gonna
gonna
give a
ever
fuck.
face any
They're-
consequence.
yeah, they don't care.
for
It's
Yeah.
for sure like they don't care. but-
Yeah. Yeah, I thi-
Because even if he tells someone, who's he
Anyone,
gonna tell?
anyone,
There's no
yeah.
HR at that point, and like
There's
they're
a,
not gonna care.
There's the black sergeant, I guess, but yeah, you're right. There's no.
Yeah.
I
there's no
think
doing
that
anything.
I think that was part of it. I think it was almost there to set up the fact that people like this had complete impunity in the world.
And I feel like
And-
cops would initiate each other anyway. It's the kind of thing where it's like a brotherhood, and like you're gonna do something anyway to newbies.
And also they have
yeah,
the extra
but-
protection. Oh, never mind.
No, I was just gonna say, I don't know if anybody would look at that and go initiation though.
No, it's like so far beyond. But I'm saying
yeah.
I'm sure that they would initiate new guys as well. I'm sure.
Maybe.
I'm sure it's like there's some kind of violence going on.
Oh, you're saying
anyway.
if he did report it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's easily brushed off for sure.
Yeah,
and
I
the
guess
cops
they
had
could.
extra protection because they have an extra layer of like impunity because they're also Cyclops.
Yeah, they're KKK fucking pieces of shit. So he's walking home, and he's walking through an alley, and he hears people screaming, and he goes to investigate, and there's a man and a woman being accosted by like 4 dudes. Like apparently there's lots of crime in New York in
It's Bruce.
the late 30s.
It's the Waynes.
The Waynes, yes, it was the Waynes. And he sees what's happening, and he manages to take this hood that was over his head and tear 2 perfectly
Yeah.
positioned eye holes.
Yeah.
2 perfectly positioned eye holes just with his thumbs.
I did like the sound of the ripping though.
I did
That
too.
was cool.
Yeah.
I did
ASMR.
too. But those fucking eye holes were in the perfect places.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do that shit.
Yeah.
But still, puts on the mask.
And just enough to not show too much of his face.
Yeah.
That's true. Perfect sizing as well. Perfect sizing, perfect positioning without
guy should be a
any sort of
professional.
and not even looking at it. He wasn't even looking at it.
His
Just
hands
like
are
this.
shaking. What
He
the
didn't
fuck?
have to measure.
And his hands were shaking. Yeah. So he goes in the alley, beats the fuck out of these guys, destroys them, and saves the lives of these 2 people.
And that was the time we see the anger.
That's when we see the anger. And he
Yeah.
goes home to June, and she opens the door and he says, "Fine, I'm angry."
Right.
What a horrible emotional payoff for that fucking event.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think so?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm angry.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Like,
That's
couldn't
what
give us
that's what I'm
something better
saying.
than
Yeah,
that?
that's what I'm saying. It's like they just keep saying he's angry, but like besides fight scenes, you don't really see like I don't know. Like, you're right. It's just like
how does he not collapse? How
Yeah.
does he not? Yes, I'm
Like,
angry.
shiver
He's still
into
wearing
the
a
corner.
fucking noose and
Yeah.
and bindings around his hands, and his only thing to say to the woman he loves or that is
It
supporting
depends
him.
on who you are, though. So some people are gonna react to that. They're gonna collapse and
True.
and cry in a
Yeah,
corner.
I feel like-
some people are gonna want to fight. Like
True.
some people, after getting into
True.
something like that,
He
they
did
want to
just
beat the
come from
shit
a
out of
fight.
someone.
Yeah,
True.
for
True.
sure.
And that's why he beat the shit out of those guys, because he had he he couldn't tolerate seeing somebody hurt somebody else again,
Yeah.
right? And
But
know,
also because he had just gone through a traumatic
yeah.
event, and sometimes you just need to punch something.
yeah,
after
for
that
sure.
happens,
For
so.
sure. He was answering, he was expressing the trauma and the rage that he felt, for sure. Yeah, so
And I think that's why he was able to fight 4 guys.
oh yeah, for sure. No, dude, he turns into like a fucking superhuman
Yeah.
when he's fighting. Like he literally does. Like what that reporter said to him was like pretty accurate. June goes to work. He falls asleep for like apparently half the day, or more. Like he wakes up at like 3 p.m. or some shit, and they have this conversation, about him wanting justice. Or no, sorry, she tells him that there's a story about the people that he saved in the paper, and she reads him the story and how they felt like they were going to die if this person hadn't intervened, blah 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 blah. So he's obviously got this sense that he can now make a difference. But June makes it very clear by telling him the story of the movie he used to watch as a kid,
Right.
the one with the black sheriff,
Right.
Bass Reeves, she
That was a good
uses that
scene,
as an
too.
example. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
The way that they kind of cut that in,
Yeah.
it was great. But she uses it as an example as to why he can't, or why he needs to wear this mask to kind of get the justice that he's looking for.
Mhm.
That he can't do it as a police officer,
Yeah.
right? What was everybody's takeaway from that?
I mean, it fits the whole Watchmen theme, and I like I like the introduction of like the very first Minutemen, not Watchmen, Minutemen, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's he finally gets this sense of like agency. He can change something for once, and it's like I love how they tied it back to that movie, because this show opened with that movie. It was really a good payoff.
I think they made him so powerless as a black cop that the only way for him to express power was to be hooded and for people to think that he was white
Yeah.
while being hooded. So
yeah. And then
which was his wife's idea.
and then there's an added element to help him convey to the public that he is white. He's using makeup around the showing part of his eyes through his mask to portray himself as white.
And then, you know what I thought was interesting? I saw this online, but his makeup matches Angela's makeup.
I was
And
gonna
like,
say the
oh,
exact
that's so
same thing.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But the fact that Angela actually wears darker makeup than her own complexion is kind of interesting,
Mhm.
right? It clearly states that, you know, that they're in a world now where, you know, black isn't, black isn't thought of the way that it was then. You know what I mean? It's not seen as the way it is then. You know, it's definitely within the world that the Watchmen are trying to create. It's more of a neutral. Like, it almost doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could be any color under that mask, but as long as you're like, you know, of good character, like nobody gives a fuck, right? And obviously, it's, you know, there's a huge polarizing difference between Angela's world of the Watchmen, Angela's world and what her grandfather had to go through, for sure. Yeah. So, I'm pretty sure we cut to his first stakeout, where he's around that Fred guy's place. Yeah, he says, I'm going after Fred. He's like, that's the first guy I'm going after. And he's staking out this grocery store, and he sees the fucking white cops that were in the car that beat the shit out of him and hanged him, going up to the back door of this grocery store and doing their little stupid Cyclops symbol.
Yeah.
And the door opens and they all go inside. Then he knocks on the back door of the grocery store. He doesn't do the symbol. He punches through the fucking
That was
hole of the
great.
door.
Which wasn't bolted shut.
Yeah,
It was just opened.
yeah.
Like, what kind
That's
of
another.
what's the point of the secret handshake shit? If the door's not even bolted shut.
It makes no sense. Makes no
Door was
fucking
just
sense.
They could have just added a scene where it reaches around and like unbolts the door, but
Yeah.
no, it just opens.
Yeah. Well, he makes his way
Maybe
inside.
he hit the door so hard that it opened.
Yeah, that's superhuman.
Because
No.
he's angry.
Yeah.
But his hand went through the hole. He
Yeah.
didn't hit the
Yeah.
door.
The
He didn't
air
hit the
went
door.
so fast that he didn't even touch the
Maybe
door.
the guy was holding the handle and he hit him so hard that he pulled the
So
handle.
yeah, so surprise, surprise, the cops are KKK, which I thought was like, I didn't love that. I felt like a little cop out. Like, they didn't need to be KKK. They could have just been corrupt cops.
They could have been.
Like, why does everybody have to be KKK? Like, you already have white supremacist bad guys in the president, and like he could have dealt with KKK things in his own timeline for sure. Will Reeves,
Sure.
but why did the cops have to be KKK? They could have just been racist cops.
I think
You
they
know what I
were.
I feel like there's a connection to the uniform that was in Judd's closet too.
okay,
Because
yeah.
Judd was saying that was like his grandfather's uniform. So
Right. I mean, that could be true.
I think they were just trying to make it seem,
But that was in
tie it
Tulsa.
in, make it seem like it was historical. Like
I think
these
they were
things-
trying to show that the world's history. There's a lot of people in places where you wouldn't expect them to be,
Okay.
where they were a part of these kind of groups.
yeah,
Like, there was also a news article on Will's Mirror that said something about 22,000 Nazi sympathizers gathering at Madison Square Garden. That's 22,000 Nazi sympathizers in the city of New York City.
Hmm.
In the city of New York. That's pretty crazy, right? And there was definitely KKK members within the police force and all kinds of different police forces, right? Which is pretty fucking gross, right? Because like you figure that, you know, people become police officers to defend people and to look after people and to protect their rights and to protect their civil liberties. But that's just not the case, right? It's almost like there's people that become police officers that are good and want to do well, want to do the public good. And then there's people who are literally looking for the best point of advantage in life that they possibly can, right? And I think that's why they kind of tied the KKK to this thing as well. I just think they wanted to kind of add some context to what the world was really like back then, you know?
Yeah, I feel like they were just trying to keep it continuous and like show that the KKK is kind of everywhere at all times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, so for me, yeah, like, sure, I agree with all of your points. I just felt like you introduced Cyclops as a thing.
Yeah.
And then Cyclops is just another KKK thing.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of Cyclops, right? Like, I get that, like, you can't make a KKK symbol wherever you go. Which I actually had a problem with that too. If there's such a secret society, why do they always fucking make their symbol every time they need like?
Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
If the guy in the front desk of your police station knows you're Cyclops, you don't have to signal to that motherfucker in front of the black cop. That, you know what I mean? Like,
or find a more
I
subtle
felt
way.
like he was trying to say the fat white guy is part of Cyclops.
He
or
is.
something.
That's exactly what he's
Right,
doing.
Yeah, that's what he was trying. Like, oh, don't worry, this guy's like Cyclops.
Right. But like, he didn't even need to do that. Like, he could have just walked. Anyways, my point is that like, what's the point of Cyclops? First of all, if they're just KKK, it's fine. It's whatever. It's like I'm not that invested.
Well, maybe Cyclops is a
sub-branch or some shit.
Or is like a bigger conspiracy of all kinds of different white supremacists, or
maybe they're gonna tie it in.
Yeah,
we're gonna find out something about the eye.
Yeah,
maybe. Who knows? So he breaks into the thing, kicks everybody's ass. In the back, the fight spills out into the front, and then Fred's fucking there, and he's like, "Who the fuck are you supposed to be?"
Yeah,
looking at Hooded Justice.
Yeah, and this is actually like the first. This is how they remember Hooded Justice's first outing, right? This is how the world remembers.
Yeah.
Well, didn't they think the place was somebody was robbing a grocery store?
That was
right?
the first scene. Yeah. So the first episode apparently of American Hero Story, they did Hooded Justice, and he jumped in through a plate glass window.
Yeah.
To stop a robbery.
Yeah.
This one.
But this is the true story of it, right?
Maybe we don't know that.
Yeah, I feel like this is like I feel like that was the misinterpreted, first story of him.
Possibly.
Right? Because that was very public. Like,
possibly.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Yeah, I like that.
But you got to say that there is the possibility that Hooded Justice may have had another, another night out where something very similar to what we saw in American Hero Story happened, and then this happened separately.
No, but why would they do that?
I don't know.
Well,
I like how he jumped.
American Hero Story is supposed to be historically inaccurate, according to PD.
According to PD,
and it's supposed to be total crap. So they are supposed to misinterpret
exactly.
events.
Yeah, the whole point of this flashback is how history got it wrong in the first place, right?
Good
and
point.
I love how he like jumped out of the window, which is like the exact opposite of what happens inside the American Hero Story. Whatever. What is it called?
American Hero Story.
Hero Story.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I thought it was just called Minutemen.
No, that's what the group's called, but the documentary show.
Yeah.
So
I thought the show was called that. I thought I heard a couple references to it.
So again with the lettuce, there's something with lettuce in the bad guys.
Oh yeah, the lettuce fell off the thing, or
It's
no, it
so
got
funny.
blown. No, Fred shot the lettuce stand when he pulled out his gun, when he pulled out his shotgun.
Yeah. So he jumps out of the window.
Yeah.
And then freezes.
Everything freezes.
Yeah, that was a fucking cool shot too.
Yeah, I like that. That was a great
very
shot.
Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
There. But like, yeah.
I was just like, my thought was just, there's so much glass. He's gonna get cut.
Me too.
What a bad idea.
Me too. I'm like, why do people
There was a
do this
door.
shit?
Yeah.
Although I was getting shot at.
I've literally seen that. So I worked security at a mall, and one of my colleagues was chasing a guy out the mall.
Yeah.
And the guy
Jumped through a window.
ran through the window. Instead of waiting to push open the door, he just ran through the glass. And then my coworker also ran through the glass when he had the option to go through an open door. And I'm like, oh my God, both of you are so dumb.
I mean,
because,
if I was the guy chasing, I'd fucking jump.
well, that's what happened. Yeah. So my coworker just chased the guy, jumped on top of him. They got into a little scuffle on the ground. But then later, the guy's like, guess what? I have a blood-borne disease. And he starts like throwing around like, I don't know what Hep C positive.
What?
They always say that. They always say that, whether it's true or not. They always just tell you they're Hep C positive or something to freak you out.
That's so fucking gross,
just
dude.
to mess with your head. They like
if
try
I was
to get
chasing
into your
a
head.
dude and he jumped through a window,
That could be true.
I'm not letting him be the only awesome guy in this chase. I'm jumping through that goddamn window too.
They both had glass all over them.
Yeah,
I was administering first aid, but I had gloves on, and I'm just like, well, I'm fine. I have gloves on, but you better go get checked.
That's funny.
Dude, that's wild.
Yeah,
That's seriously
funny
fucking
I have
wild.
some fun stories from working security.
What'd you guys think of the guy playing Fred? I thought he was fucking funny. I thought he was a really
Yeah, I don't think he did enough for me to really like him. I mean, I hated his character for sure.
He was a good bit player though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, anyway, so time freezes with Hooded Justice's face, and then you see Angela's face. And I really love the shot of Cal. Also, first Agent Blake comes to her and says, and like pretty much says what she's been saying this whole time, which is like, we need to pump your stomach, you're gonna be a vegetable. I brought your husband here to like snap you out of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then the husband comes by and starts telling, which is funny to me because he had a list of like,
You had
It was
to
like a
write it
script.
down.
your children are, wait,
Yeah.
let me read my children's name.
Yeah.
Topher.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
So he kept saying it over and over again. And I love that scene because, well, the blinking was pretty cool too. Like the whole, like she had to like fight. It looked like she was fighting space-time. You know what I mean? Like she was frozen in time.
Yeah.
But I love Cal's face. I don't know if you guys noticed, but his face started going into in and out of color. And like very slightly.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, so like I had to like squint on my phone. I was at work.
Yeah, I was
like,
watching it on my phone.
Yeah,
Too.
I was like, his face went in and out of color as if she was trying to snap out of it, and then it just like slowly faded back into black and white, and then she lost it.
Yeah,
so
I think I noticed that.
It was a really cool.
That was
It's a
cool.
really cool thing
I didn't
they did
notice
with,
that.
with the color correction.
I didn't fucking notice that.
Cal, memorize your kids' names, man.
Yeah,
if
that
you
was
gotta write
weird.
it down.
Yeah,
Because he started off with facts about her, but it's stuff
Yeah.
he should have known. You were born in Vietnam, and
Yeah, that was interesting. The whole thing
Yeah.
about being born in Vietnam in '76. So clearly,
So
yeah, go ahead.
my prediction for the next episode is we're gonna see, I mean, at least a little bit of like the other side of what was going on while she was in this like dream.
You think they'll fill the gap?
eventually- I think we're gonna
Because
see
she
Vietnam.
ends up, I mean, spoilers to the end of the episode, she ends up with Lady True. So something happens there, right?
Yeah.
So, you know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
So yeah.
right. No, I guess they kind of have to fill that part of the story.
I hope we get to see Vietnam too. I'm kind of curious about Vietnam.
Yeah,
in this
there's so much
world.
about Vietnam now. Yeah.
I don't think we'll get any flashbacks for Angela. There's not enough episodes left. I think they have to
They'll
kind of
keep
finish
mentioning
the
it,
story.
probably.
And then we
But,
still
like,
have to go back to Ozymandias too, because we didn't get any Ozymandias in this
No, we
episode.
didn't. I was surprised.
I gotta talk about Ozymandias
So
somewhere
after
today.
okay, so after Angela's, I guess you want to call it attempted rescue by Cal and Agent Blake, it jumps to a scene where Reeves is a little bit older. He's got a mustache. He's sitting at a table with his wife, and then there's a knock at the door, and there's some guy here to see Will, and it's a tall blonde guy, and he's there on behalf of a costume adventurer, as he put it, named Captain Metropolis, and he wants him to join the Minutemen. He wants him to be a part of the Minutemen, and he says that that he was, that all the Minutemen were inspired by the tales of Hooded Justice, so he has to be a part of the Minutemen. And did you guys pick up on the I'm gay, I know you're gay, like kind of signaling and all that?
Yeah, I got like a sexual tension between them at the table, and the wife was June was kind of just like, oh, what is happening?
The best part is when Captain this guy Nathan Gardner,
their hands
Captain
were
Metropolis,
really close to each other on the table.
That part was funny, but the other best part was when he's like, Captain Metropolis is a master strategist, and he's been able to figure out that by looking at the patrol routes of the officers on duty, the officers on duty, that you're the one helping out Hooded Justice. And his wife just starts cracking up because like she knows he's fucking Hooded Justice and she knows he's completely wrong. I was just like, oh, that's fucking great.
Funny, yeah.
That's great. Yeah, so and then they cut to this fucking sex scene between Captain Metropolis, Nathan Gardner,
This fucking sex scene.
and Will Reed. Did I say that?
Yeah, what?
It is
why
technically
this fucking sex scene?
It is technically a fucking sex scene.
It is a fucking sex
You
scene.
can't have a sex scene without fucking.
Okay.
So technically, you're right.
Okay. Oops. All right. Where can I go back on that one?
No, do it. It's funny.
It's fine. I just wondered why you said it that way.
I don't know. Because it technically is a fucking sex scene. The scene literally starts off with, yes, yes. That's literally how the scene starts out.
It goes. The wife looks at him and goes, no.
Yeah.
And then, yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Oh, that was so good.
Right? No. She says no, like she says no, you shouldn't be in the Minutemen or whatever. And then he's like, yes. And then we find out that Will is apparently either bisexual or gay or whatever.
And an adulteress.
And an adulterer. And an adulterer.
He doesn't care.
And he's
he
banging this fucking tall blonde dude, Captain Metropolis. So apparently, American Hero
Yeah,
Story.
that seemed a little out of character. It kind of did.
For who?
For Will.
It was totally out of character. I was like, this guy does not strike me as
an adulterer.
Yes, that's exactly why.
So here's the weird part for me. So much about the Hooded Justice was like wrong, right? But how did they find out that he was gay and he had a relationship with? So was
Captain Metropolis.
Somebody spilled the beans, bro.
No. Okay, but my thing is that like this whole thing is kind of like a retcon for the original Watchmen. But in the original, so I'm assuming what they're trying to do. First of all, like hell of a way to like change source material there, but whatever. Like it's good for the story.
No,
right?
the original. Okay, so I want to comment on this. So the original Watchmen, Alan Moore never gave Hooded Justice an identity. Like nobody knew who he really was.
So, but my point is that like the original story, technically in this world, is what the general public thought of them, thought about them. And then Will Reeves's Chronicles is the real life, the actual truth about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but in the comics, did they know that he was gay? So, and then if they didn't, then the fact that he was gay should have been one of those secrets that
I feel like there were hints at it.
You mean was
the public shouldn't have known that he was gay?
What you mean was him being gay
or bisexual, whatever?
Was him being gay or bisexual a part of the original story?
Yeah, well, okay,
that was based for Hooded Justice. I never read the Minutemen graphic novel. I know there is one.
There is one?
Yeah, there is one.
That.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there is one.
It's just weird to me that the public didn't know that he was black, but knew that he was gay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I hear you. The only thing I really
knew
would
have hid that as much as the fact that he was black,
right?
For the same reasons, right? For the same 1930s reasons, right?
Persecution.
So,
yeah.
But the public obviously knows that he was gay or at least bi because in the story in American Hero Story, they showed a scene of him having sex with Captain
Metropolis, and then the FBI agents, the guys that were trying to blackmail him into getting that photo back for him of Hoover, they knew that he was banging Captain Metropolis too. So I guess a lot of people knew that he was banging Captain Metropolis. I don't know how they knew that, but
yeah, I guess if the FBI agents knew, then I guess that would have been information that the public could have found out.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Anyways, moving on.
Yeah. So there's this sex scene between the two of them, and then it gets kind of like to a place of, I don't know. It's almost like a romantic connection. He's like all getting touchy-feely with him and shit. And then Will asks him, "How did you know I was Hooded Justice?"
But I think he meant to ask, "How did you know I was gay?" Right?
I think
that's
so
what
too.
I kind of thought.
That's kind of what I picked up on.
How did you know?
And he's
know
like,
"What?
Yeah,
he's like that. I was Hooded Justice, right?"
Yeah. That's what I thought too.
Yeah. Both meanings work.
Both meanings do work, and I kind of feel like they were almost interchangeable at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But he also says to him, like, you can't tell me you didn't think that Hooded Justice was a white man. He's like, yeah, I did. But when I first saw you, I knew immediately that you were Hooded Justice,
Mm-hmm.
which is very like, I don't know, kind of flowery, kind of whimsical type shit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he was trying to flatter him, if that was a strategy to flatter him or whatever.
To get him to join the team, maybe?
Yeah, to get him to join the team and to kind of get him to kind of just go along and play the role, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that felt like charisma or something.
Or manipulation.
Charm.
Manipulation? Because I definitely got a
that.
vibe from this cat. He's fucking manipulative as shit.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I got that.
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, he's a piece of garbage. Yeah, so
Oh, because of that phone call that happens later.
what phone call?
The phone booth.
Yeah, he was like, I'm not gonna help you. That's your problem. That's black
Oh,
people
that
problem.
one. Yeah.
But why don't you come over and stuff?
Yeah. But I need your body.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
Just come
kinda
over here and have a cigar with me.
a cigar.
Apparently, the Minutemen were pieces of shits too. So next scene.
Yep,
So he joins.
working on
He
it.
becomes part of their team.
Yeah, he joins and becomes a part of the team. After Captain Metropolis says, "Let's have sex with our masks on," apparently. That was fucking weird as shit.
Oh, yeah.
What? That wasn't weird. That's not a stretch of a sex scene.
You don't think so?
We saw them having sex without their masks, and then round
Oh, shit.
2.
We forgot. Captain Metropolis actually says to him that you'll have to continue the the whole charade about being a white man underneath the Hooded Justice costume. He literally says that to him, and then he says something along the lines of, "Not everybody is as tolerant as I am."
Mm.
So he's insinuating that some of the Minutemen were racist.
Yeah.
That's
I think
fucked up.
he insinuated that all of them were except for him. He's like the others.
Do you think
the
that's
others.
true, or do you think that's manipulation?
I think that probably is true.
I think it's manipulation just so he only depends on him.
I think it
Oh,
could. I think
maybe.
some of them
yeah.
could be. I think some of them
And
could
that's
be.
how that's why
Huh.
he makes such a big deal about never taking off his hood.
Yeah.
Remember that was his thing, and then we were like speculating that it was because it was his. We were mirroring it back to Looking Glass about how his face was actually he said that himself, how his mask was his identity,
Yeah.
and his real life was like completely getting confused with his identity.
Yeah.
Turns out that wasn't the reason at all. The only
No.
reason was he was hiding the fact that he was black,
Yeah.
which kind of I think takes away a little bit from. Anyways, moving on.
And then the next scene, Will's lying in bed with June, and she kind of senses that there's something up with him. He's a little, emotionally blocked or whatever. And she's like, "Oh, is it your fancy captain, whatever, and his band of costume crusaders or some shit?" And then she's like, "Tell me how you first. Tell me about the time you first saw me."
Because she's jealous of Captain
Oh,
Metropolis.
Probably,
Yeah.
probably. But this is the interesting part: is tell me how you first saw me.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get that connection to the baby that was in the field in episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
June is the baby. We find out that June is the baby that was in the field. So Will rescued her, and apparently she was wrapped in an American flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't notice that on the first?
No, I
episode?
didn't notice that. Why would you wrap a baby in the American flag?
All they had. They were running away from a mob.
Well, we don't know where they were running from, though. We don't know if they were
Tulsa.
running from Tulsa, but we don't know if June, the one that people at June were with, were running from Tulsa.
No, it was. So they jumped into the back of the car.
Yeah.
And she was there too. She was there in the back of the truck.
Oh, she was in the
Yeah,
back of the
she
truck?
was there.
Oh,
And
so
then
when the truck rolled over.
She was on the field.
Ah, word. Okay. All right. Now I got a better understanding. But the baby's wrapped in an American flag when it falls out of the truck?
Yes, it's somebody has a good swaddle, man. They teach you that. They teach you that in parenting school.
Did you guys notice the scene in the background where the open door, you could see Will in the field picking her up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was cool.
That was pretty cool.
Cinematography, this fucking episode's so dope.
Yeah, it was really good.
If anything else,
the editing and the effects and all that, and really good.
And you don't like the fact that he got together with the baby. That's
I
what
don't
you
like
were
the fact that he got together with the baby. That was just kind of fucking weird and odd.
Just don't like the fact that he doesn't. I think I'm the opposite of that. I don't like the fact that he doesn't end up with her in the end.
I feel
Right?
I feel like following in
I
love
want to talk
with
about that too, because
Yeah.
like she like he literally saved her fucking life, like literally gave her a life, because otherwise she's done for,
I
right?
feel like falling in love with your childhood friend could be romantic in a
Yeah.
lot of ways, but then it doesn't give you a chance to explore your sexuality. So it's possible that, he had this whole other thing that he was repressing or never explored, because the only person he ever loved was his childhood sweetheart.
But I like that whole, like, I thought that was a really good love story. Like, they survived a massacre together. He took care of her when they were young. They get older, and then, like, that they're all they each other have, right? And then he leaves her.
Yeah, it seems like it should be a strong bond, but we see a lot of tension in their relationship anyway. Like, even when he becomes a cop, she's, like, mad at him for becoming a cop. And it's kind of just downhill from there.
Yeah.
Instead of
she challenges him for sure.
Yeah, like,
but she ended up being right.
But she ended up, she turned him into Hooded Justice too, or helped him develop his character as
for sure. See, Frank, the reason why you don't like it is because you're assuming they grew up in this weird brother-sister dynamic, but that's not necessarily how that's gonna happen, right?
Yeah, but honestly,
I read a lot of books about childhood sweethearts growing up. So.
You read a lot of books about childhood sweethearts? Why?
Old English literature is like that.
Okay, like actual
all the Jane
fiction.
Austen books and
You're talking about fiction.
Yeah.
I thought you were reading like psychological books about
like fiction.
Okay.
And old American stories too. They're all like that. Okay. Like you fall in love with somebody who lives in your town or whatever.
Yeah, I get that, but the age gap is a little too hard.
I don't think it's a big age gap. It's like 4 or 5 years.
I don't know. It was 4 or 5 years. I think Will was at least 7 or 8 when that happened.
She could have been 2.
Okay, yeah.
She could have been 2 or 3. That's me, my girlfriend right now. She could have robbed my ass. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Don't kill me.
Okay. It's okay. My ex was 10 years my younger.
Yeah,
so.
I've dated someone several years older. Like, I know people who
I don't make I don't make a big deal out of age when you get past a certain point.
I would go up 8 years or down 4. That's my age range.
You have limits? I don't have any limits.
I have limits.
No, I have limits in terms of, like, you have to be able to go to Vegas and drink. Because
I
otherwise you're no use to me.
My friend told me a 23-year-old is kind of interested in me. I'm like, nah. 23 is
no deal.
Young. No deal. That's 10 years. No deal.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but there are people your age that act 23 and people that are 23 that act your age.
I couldn't. 23-year-olds are just so young. I just feel so old. Like, they look young. They look like kids. Like, it would be weird.
Okay, that's enough of our personal drama. Let's get back to the fiction. So the next scene, there's the grouping of the Minutemen that's being introduced to the world. And Hooded Justice is announced as the newest member, and one of the reporters in the crowd is like, we hear that you have superpowers to the likeness of the guys in the comic books. He's like, I'm just a man, right? Obviously he's continuing on the charade that he's a white guy. He's talking like a white guy. Well, he's purposely altering his voice to sound more white, I think. That was my take. And weirdly, the only characters that are in focus in this shot is Captain Metropolis
and him
and Hooded Justice. Yeah. Everybody else is all blanked out.
That was a cool shot.
Mothman silhouette, dollar bill.
Yeah.
The Wasp, not the Wasp, the Mothman, and Night Owl. They're all fuzzy.
Out of focus.
Out of focus. That was kind of disappointing, I think. Don't you?
Yeah. Unless it means something, but I haven't.
Why do we think that? I'm sure there's a reason for that.
That's the thing.
I don't know.
I don't think there. I mean, I guess you could say they're the only two that matter, but I don't know why.
Unless they just didn't want to pay for the rights to have those characters appear.
No, I think
that's
maybe
maybe that may be the
case.
Costs
more money.
I don't know about that because I feel like they have the entire IP, don't they?
Maybe
I think I want to try and make sense of this from a story perspective. And maybe it's because Captain Metropolis played such a big part in Will's life that there's only him in focus other than himself. So when Angela remembers it, she only sees Captain Metropolis. She doesn't really see the others because it's coming from Will's perspective.
Maybe it's because she doesn't know who they are, so she can't like fill in that gap. Or
no, I don't actually think it's Angela. So I'd argue that it's when Will remembers it, because it's not like Angela has no agency within these dreams.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, within these memories. So when Will Reeves remembers his mother, it's his mind playing the trick of his mother being in these scenes. So I think it's him not caring about the rest of the Minutemen. It's him only caring about, and not Angela. Angela is just a spectator. She's a third party.
So he only cares about the guy that he's plowing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess he was in love with him. I guess he
was.
This guy.
Yeah, maybe he was. So did you guys catch the part where Captain Metropolis unveils this poster?
Yeah.
And it's the same
It was
poster. It's the same poster from the 7th Cavalry hideout in
Oh,
the
is
first
it?
I did
episode.
not
Oh, I
notice
didn't
that.
catch
And
it.
it's racist as fuck. Like there's literally Dollar Bill is holding up like this overly characterized African American by the scruff of his
Oh,
collar,
Oh,
and it says
I did
something about
not.
protecting your money.
I was
in
just laughing
Wow.
because they have sponsorships.
that was hilarious
Just
too.
like,
That
you
was
gotta wear
hilarious,
Nikes
too.
when you fight crime because
That's
they have
funny.
sponsorships.
And that echoes
I mean,
back
it's
to
not
the
surprising.
No,
Nike
yeah,
would
I
want
was
to
just
get all
laughing
over
at that. Yeah.
and that echoes back to the deconstruction of the superhero kind of mythology, the fiction. Like they're doing it in The Boys right now. Like
Oh, I have to watch that next.
The Boys is great.
Oh, okay.
The Boys is great.
It's on my watch
like
list.
Guys, comment if you want us to review the first season of The Boys. 'cause
We can do
I
that.
want to review it.
we
for
can
sure.
definitely do that.
Cool. It's on my watch
It's
list.
really, really good. And there are elements in that world of The Boys where superheroes are actually endorsed. They have sponsorships.
Mm.
Like there's products with their
Yeah.
names on them,
Yeah,
like
they're
everywhere,
celebrities, yeah.
right?
Which is how
So-
this world would actually deal with superheroes.
That's how deconstruction would act. Like that.
Yeah.
That's what a real world superhero world would be like, without a doubt. Would they accept it though? That's the question.
Yeah.
Right? Would somebody who has that sense of duty, that sense of social
Hey man,
demand?
if you're not Bruce Wayne, you gotta pay for your suit somehow.
That's true, mate. That's true. Hey, I want to talk about that too because, like, I like the fact that Hooded Justice was literally somebody who didn't have the resources
Yeah.
to make himself extra extraordinary in terms of being a hero,
Yeah.
right? What do you guys think about him not having a secret identity from his kid? He was wide open, just like putting his
Yeah.
makeup on and his
Yeah.
costume on all the time with the kid.
Well, and then we see the consequence of that is that the kid wants to be like
Yeah.
his dad. The danger of that is that the kid's gonna babble to his friends. Like, how
Exactly.
did he make it so that the kid didn't talk to his
Right,
friends?
I don't know.
That was a weird detail
Yeah.
to like add.
I don't know. Maybe it was the mother that kind of maybe stressed that, just in the interest of honesty, we need to be kind of transparent
Yeah,
with our son, right?
but I'm surprised
they
he wouldn't
thought-
go tell people who his
Yeah.
dad is.
Maybe they thought that he just wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
Like he was young enough, right?
Yeah.
Like he was putting on the makeup. I don't know if he knew what it meant. You know what I mean? Like it's just like monkey see, monkey do.
Well,
Yeah.
I think he just thought it was part of dad's costume.
Exactly.
Or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. I don't
he
think he
didn't-
knew. I think they were just like he's too young to know.
I don't think he understood that it was to make him look white.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's a kid in his school that, reads
Oh,
Hooded
yeah,
Justice articles in the newspaper
Yeah.
and, kind of like,
I think that was an oversight on their part.
Yeah,
For sure.
I definitely think it was an oversight too. So there's one important character beat for Captain Metropolis that I want to talk about.
Sure.
When Hooded Justice is talking to the reporters and he starts talking about the actual conspiracy by the Cyclops,
Yeah.
he cuts him off.
Yeah.
He stops him from finishing the story and he goes on about these supervillains, Moloch and other guys, and apparently Moloch is trying to control the sun's
sun,
energy
yeah.
or some shit. And it goes full fucking fledged Lex Luthor
Yeah.
instead of like full fledged, like real, actual, identifiable street crime.
Yeah.
Right? Which is interesting in this context because Watchmen is supposed to be a deconstruction, right? The villains are supposed to be much more realistic and much more grounded.
Wait, did you not understand what that scene was? He was lying to the reporters. Like Moloch. That's the whole deconstruction of that scene was we have real problems, but we're gonna feed this whole harnessing. Like that's not real. Like he was feeding the whole like they're harnessing like solar powers to thing because and that's why the rest of the world believe that
That's why they
Moloch
believed
exists.
in aliens.
They're lying to the reporters. That's why when Will Reeves says, "Oh, they have this like mesmerizing device," he's like, listen to yourself right now. You're not being logical, right?
Right. But maybe when Captain Metropolis put together the Minutemen, it was more about making money and profit than actual fighting.
I think
could
they
be.
were fighting crime. But they were feeding they were over glorifying their adventures. You know what I mean? Like they're like feeding this
Because they want it to
this
be
tale
famous.
of like this
they
tale
want it
of
to be
like
interesting.
we're fighting these solar powered people, but really they're fighting like Cyclops types.
So they're pieces of shit.
Well, yeah, deconstruction. Yeah,
The Minutemen were pieces of shit. Yeah,
So
but
they were also lying to the public, not just the bad guys.
sure. But the Watchmen weren't pieces of shit. They actually put themselves in
we'll
harm's
see
way.
what this show does.
No. I'm talking about the Watchmen in terms of the Night Owl and Silk Spectre and Dr. Manhattan.
But you don't
and
know with this
Rorschach.
show, right?
Sure, but I'm talking about in the context that we understand them first, right?
Yeah.
The Watchmen weren't pieces of shit. When you actually see the movie, listen, I don't know if this scene is in the comic book. I hope it is. But when Watchmen and Silk Spectre go out and they save those people in the burning apartment building, that's when they're really legitimized as far as being heroes, right? It's one thing to defend yourself in an alley and kick the shit out of a bunch of people. Yeah. It's a whole other thing to like go out of your way to save people in a burning building.
Okay, here's my rebuttal. So the Watchmen. So from what I understand, this show, is playing off the events of the comic books as far as that is public knowledge. So everything that happens in the comic book is the public record of what really happened except for like the whatever except for
the public of that world,
right?
That's their understanding.
Which means the truth of what happens in the comics is up to the writers of the show now, because they can literally just say, yeah, like the Watchmen never did any crime fighting. They were all lying to you.
Right.
And everything in the comic book was just public knowledge. Right. So that's why I think they can change anything they want to, which I don't like.
Okay.
I think that's what Alan Moore doesn't like too, right? That's why he was mad.
Yeah, they took liberties with his work. They took a lot of liberties with his work.
He didn't love it.
Well,
so.
Okay, let's touch on where Alan Moore is in this world right now, okay?
I'm not too familiar. You've said some things I don't remember. His
whole comment about superheroes being akin to the ideals of white supremacy, I think he's lost his fucking mind, okay? He's getting older. He literally said that the idea of like a superhero is very much in line with the ideals of the white supremacy, right?
Like an Aryan race,
like an Aryan race kind of deal, right? Yeah. Instead of finding your internal courage and wanting to do good and wanting to be the best of humanity and wanting to help to seed the public good, it's now more about just the status of being a superhuman, right? And I don't see it that way, and I've never seen it that way.
I never have either.
I think it's gross. I think it's actually kind of gross that he said that.
But it's something a crazy old man would say.
Exactly.
Playing the devil's advocate.
And he looks like a crazy old man.
Playing the devil's advocate for a second. The only thing I can see is if he means that the superhero mentality can be misconstrued as can be misinterpreted as like white supremacy, because you did say like, you know, the best of humanity. That's what white supremacy think, right? White supremacists think. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like I agree with you for sure. I don't know what his comment was, but you did say something interesting when you said like being a because the core of being a superhero is like justice, right? Like it's like I'm gonna be the judicator.
It's
because
answering
I
the
know
call
better.
to be part of the mechanism that makes the, you know, that wants to do the public good. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To me, that's what it is.
But there is a superiority that you even said yourself that he could probably say, you know, like that's like a thread in here that can lead to the same sort of noises that white supremacists would make. Maybe like I don't know. Like I agree. He may have just like
there are a lot of parallels between the ideas of the Nazi Party and them thinking that the Aryan race were a superior genetic example of humanity, and looking at somebody like Batman and saying the exact same thing, right? Like he was almost bred to
maybe
like fight
Batman.
crime.
Maybe Superman.
Well, no, I'm gonna use Batman because I really think Batman, as far as mentally and physically, is a superior human specimen in comparison to his peers. Yeah. Right.
Okay.
And I'm using Batman because he is human,
right?
But he does excel in the same way that Superman does. Mm-hmm. He's been able to stand toe to toe with some people that you don't think he can stand toe to toe with, right? So I think he's the perfect example of this. So I see the parallels, but I don't see the same motivations.
Yeah, no, it's
right.
Yeah, it's you only ever like to be fair, like this is actually where I stand is like you only ever see the parallels if you're perverting the actual idea
Exactly.
of a superhero.
Exactly.
Right? If you're taking it unfavorably, then you can see a parallel.
Yeah.
So like if you have to bend over backwards to make this parallel, then you're not really making a parallel.
Right. If you have to bend the narrative to fit your end conclusion,
then, yeah, exactly.
Then
It's weird
it
too
doesn't
that
work.
it's like for him based on the physical appearance of the characters, because there's so many characters now that all look different.
Yeah.
So it come from all different backgrounds.
For sure. No, for sure. But like I don't know. I think he's reflecting back on the comic, like the Silver Age,
like
the Silver
comics.
Age of comic books. Yes, all the heroes were mostly white. Yes, all the heroes were mostly male. Yes, all the heroes were mostly straight.
But that's because nobody
right?
criticized it at that time, and it was a
Exactly.
world run by white men.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
Nobody.
Yeah, and that's their audience.
Yeah,
and like
nobody
that's
even
what they
thought
thought like.
differently.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. And I almost feel like this is kind of what motivated or Lindelof's decision to do what he did with Hooded Justice
I think so.
in this episode. And I want to talk about that in more detail when we finish the recap.
Maybe he knows Alan Moore better.
Maybe he does, but I doubt it. Like, because I don't think Alan Moore is really a big fan of this show. That's the
maybe
vibe
Alan
that I'm
Moore
getting.
is Judd.
What?
Maybe Judd is the
my
parallel
God.
to Alan Moore.
Oh my God. Wow. Interesting. Okay. So
Like he seems like a great guy, but he's really a white supremacist.
So clearly the Minutemen have failed Will and Hooded Justice in terms of wanting to serve the justice that he wants to serve. He wants to go after Cyclops. They have no fucking interest in it. Yeah. Well, Captain Metropolis is more of like his liaison to the Minutemen.
Which is interesting
right?
because that's where the manipulation comes in, because he made it sound like he would be on his side and
Of course.
help him figure everything out. And then
he tells him everything he wants to hear, right?
And then he even slept with him and then totally just abandoned him.
Yeah, he's a fucking user. He's a piece of shit.
And he fucking says like, "Oh, it's not really our thing. Like, you can settle black unrest on your own." What the fuck?
It's gross.
That was crazy.
It's gross.
Where's the camaraderie?
And then he's
Where's
like, "Oh, but if you
teamwork?"
want to bring that dick over, come on." Like, like what the fuck?
Oh
wanna
yeah,
bring
he
that
makes
dick
a
over.
comment about his dick before too, doesn't he? Like,
No, we
no,
didn't
no,
say
it
anything about
was-
his dick,
No,
actually.
it was
No.
Fred. It was Fred.
Oh, it was
Fred says like,
okay. But I want to hear about your race.
Yeah, from what I hear, like you have enough
Yeah.
meat to
You're right.
satisfy
You're
your
right.
wife.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but that was like crazy that he just like abandons him.
Yeah,
when-
so the Minutemen brush him off. So he has to deal with this the Cyclops, because he essentially finds their hideout, right?
You're skipping the movie theater.
Well, then we both skipped it because the phone call scene happens right before that.
No. I wasn't talking about the phone call yet.
Oh,
you guys
okay.
jumped into the phone call.
Okay, my bad.
So
Oh shit! Yeah.
The movie theater,
scene.
yeah.
That's important. Fuck.
yeah. So
yes,
after the press conference with the Minutemen, and honestly, dude, like this whole Minutemen thing has got my brain fried, because the more and more I think about how shitty this fucking Ethan Gardner character is, and the more and more I think about how all the Minutemen died.
Yeah. So I don't like that. I don't like how it's like, oh, secret truth. None of, like, this whole story is fake. I don't know. I'm not a
I
big
don't know,
fan of that.
man. Dude, think about it.
I kind of like it. I like that the characters are
Me
not
too.
a
They're
little bit
phonies.
like gray.
They're fucking phonies.
Well,
No,
we
no,
don't
no.
know. We just know that.
So Frank's like, what he's thinking is that they're all.
I think
We
they're
don't know about
phonies.
all the rest of them. We just know that the one guy is like a little fucked up.
I think
but
the Night Owl was the closest to actually being a hero, because he was a cop, and you get to actually see, like, you know, like he lived, right?
Yeah.
Dollar Bill got shot in being caught in a revolving door. What kind of hero are you to get fucking caught in a
That's
revolving
funny.
door?
That's funny though.
Right? Silhouette died. She was murdered with her lesbian lover. And then Mothman went completely nuts. He got put in the nut house in Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons' world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Minutemen were pieces of shit.
Well, you don't know that. You're extrapolating
I
based
am,
on one
but-
character. One character's a piece of shit.
No, but like, you know, I don't know, man. I don't think the Minutemen were all they were hyped up to be, and I think that's why
I think
this
they were
American.
regular people.
But
with
wait. This American crime, this American hero story, this show.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody found out what I'm fucking saying now and has made a TV series out of it. And then we'll get the conclusion of American Hero story within the
It
context
keeps
of
playing
Watchmen.
in the background. We're gonna see
Yeah.
more. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It turns out they're not the greatest people that we thought they were,
We'll
right?
see.
In
I'm
terms
all
of this
for
world,
that.
or the
I don't
public
know
thinks.
about we. I think
Okay.
you need to like ease up on the we.
Okay.
So like I think you meant like we as the audience.
No,
or?
No.
we as in
No.
all the Minutemen.
Okay.
Oh,
like
okay,
ease
okay.
up on
Yeah.
labeling all the Minutemen.
So like I'm all for like, oh, there's a hidden truth to this, like there like there's a thing that we can dig deeper about this history that we were wrong about. That's one thing. But when it's like, oh, by the way, like all that happened in the Watchmen, that like the original work that we're a sequel of, that's just all fucked up. That's all wrong.
No, but they're
Like,
not saying it's
They're not
fucked
saying
up,
it's all
Chris.
wrong. They're just bringing more
They're not
depth
saying it's fucked
to
up, Chris.
it.
They're bringing more depth to it.
But you just said you think they're all hucksters.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that
You
the
think
Minutemen were
that.
hucksters. I'm saying that the Watchmen were legitimate.
I think that
Well, yeah.
just
If they take that first step, I don't know why they wouldn't take the second step.
I think that just Captain Metropolis is fucked up at this
I don't know,
point.
man.
We don't know about anyone else.
I don't know.
Well, no, because the argument against that is
Dollar bills on that poster. First of all, it's not even Captain Metropolis. So if you're okay with having a photo taken of you
Well,
for
he
a
is the
poster,
leader of the team. Maybe they didn't all agree with
So,
his
so
decision.
the argument against that is if what's his
and
name?
Silk Spectre was in a porno for fuck's sakes.
And so?
That's not very heroic.
If Captain
It's not
Metropolis,
heroic. It's real. That's what I love about the Watchmen.
yeah. Well, no, the argument is that like if Captain Metropolis is lying to the public about them solving like solar powered like supervillain crimes,
But you're telling
they're
that-
all implicit.
right.
They're all implicit because then
Sure.
because they can't he can't also be lying to his own team.
And that's exactly
Right.
what I'm saying. The
Yeah,
fact that they're not
yeah,
trying
yeah.
to deal with
We-
real crime.
She's
And
also
what
right
kind
that we
of
don't
person
know.
would recruit a porn star to come work with
She's not a
them,
porn star,
right?
she
No,
did a
no,
porno.
no. She wasn't a porn star. Somebody made like a pulp comic about her
okay.
getting drilled by
Right,
some
and she liked
fucking
it, though.
delivery
She was
guy.
always reading
She loved
it,
it,
yeah.
actually. She loved it. She
Yeah,
showed
when
it
she
to her
got older.
daughter.
No, when she got
showed it
older,
to her
she
daughter.
would like reminisce
Yeah.
about
She's like, look at me getting pounded out. Oh, this is hot. Okay, so let's get back onto the story of this episode. But I really think there's something here. Anyways, so we go to the movie theater, and it's on fire. There's people spilling out. They're bleeding. They're in ambulances. Will's responding as a police officer, dressed as a police officer. He goes inside, and there's fucking bodies everywhere, and they're all African American. They're all like hanging over seats and bloody, and like it's just fucking chaos. It's bedlam in there. And he talks to this one woman, and this woman says that the picture was playing, and then a light started to flash, and then she started hearing voices telling her to hurt people. So he leaves. And he starts to investigate the area, and he sees these guys loading up projectors into this car. And then he follows them out.
Sloppy ass bad guys.
Very sloppy
Let's
ass
just
bad
pack
guys.
up while all the cops are here.
Yeah.
Just walk right out.
Yeah. So he follows them to a warehouse in the packing district, and who does he come across? Fred.
Yeah.
Goddamn Fred.
And
And
then
then
there's the phone
didn't the
call.
other cops tell him to go in and investigate too? They were like, "Oh no, this is like your problem. You go in and
No,
investigate
it's the Minutemen that did that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's like,
But no, I feel
no,
like
no,
when he
no,
showed
yeah,
up,
no,
there
no,
were other
you're right.
cops, and
No,
they
you're
were
right.
like,
Yeah.
"Oh, like you speak their language.
You speak their language.
don't
Exactly what he
into
said.
movie
it."
theater.
Yeah,
Yeah, like that was wild. The
Yeah.
white cops wouldn't even investigate. It was
Gross.
a black people crime.
Gross and racist. Gross.
Yeah. It was a
Horrible.
crime against black people. The bad guys are probably white. Like
Horrible.
what? Like
yeah.
Horrible. So, so moving back ahead, he follows them. He runs into fucking Fred as he's on the phone with Captain Metropolis. Well, first he has a call with Captain Metropolis, trying to explain to him what's going on. Captain Metropolis is only interested in getting him over to the house so he can get banged. Totally just undermines him.
oh, I hate that.
Undermines him, disrespects him, manipulates him into just trying to get some dick. And Will hangs up the phone, angry, knowing that there's something more to this. He basically calls him crazy. He asks him if he's been drinking. Just totally undermines his whole perspective on the entire
because he was
situation.
talking about mesmerism and
Yeah.
the projectors, and Captain Metropolis is just like, what are you talking about? Like what?
Yeah, mesmerism because of the book that he found
Yeah.
in the first location inside Fred's store. Right. We've got to bring that point up about the book about mesmerism. Yeah, I forgot about that. That's important. So when Will first went to the first grocery store, like Will's first attack against the Cyclops, there was a map with a bunch of cities and numbers around them, the Cyclops symbol, and then there's a book on mesmerism.
And he takes it. So
Yeah.
he's read about it. He's read what's in that book.
Did he take the book?
I think he did.
I think he got in a fight too quick. I don't think he got the
okay.
book.
We don't think he got the
No,
book. Okay.
but I think it kind of started his mind up, and he's like trying to make the connections. So he's trying to tell Captain Metropolis
what kind
that
of cop doesn't take the evidence from this
well,
scene?
when you're hooded justice and you're fighting, you can't really pull out an evidence bag.
And that was his first outing as hooded justice.
That was his
That's
first outing.
true.
Yeah. So Metropolis is underplaying everything he's saying. He says, "Don't worry about it. You're drunk. Like, just there's no way the KKK is using mind control. Da 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 da. All kinds of shit." And then he hangs up the phone and he runs into fucking Fred. And then Fred says something like, "Oh, I know why you're here. You want free steaks." And then he tells him, or he alludes that the warehouse is his. And Will doesn't hesitate. He pulls out his revolver and shoots him in the head. Fred's dead. He puts on the hood.
Yeah, he does it while in cop uniform.
In
which
cop
I thought
uniform.
was
He kills Fred in
interesting.
cop uniform. Yes.
I thought that was really interesting. And then he's hooded justice with his cop uniform, which is also
Yes.
like, now you have to kill everybody you come across. Like,
I don't know if the hood was the same hood because it didn't look like the same hood. There wasn't a
Yeah.
peak on it.
Really?
Do you guys notice that too?
What?
The hood was peaked
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
Ku
yeah.
Klux Klan.
Yeah.
yeah, like it did feel, yeah.
It was
I
a black
did.
version.
And
But
darker.
That was in the comic, though. It was
Yeah,
like
it
kind
was.
of
Oh, it was.
slinky,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a sock. It kind of
Yeah.
flopped around the
Yeah.
top like a sock. Yeah, so he goes into the warehouse. He fucking shoots everybody. There's like not even like a punch thrown. He just kills everybody inside. And then he comes across the actual Ku Klux Klan guy, the one that actually hung him from the tree, the cop.
Yeah, the cop, yeah.
And he's doing the actual
Mesmerism.
what do you call it? Subliminal messages in the movies. He's recording them, and they're fucking horrible.
Yeah.
They're like literally telling people to like kill other people, hurt other people. But if you come across white women and children, don't
Leave
do
them
anything
alone.
to them. Leave them alone. Right? He's basically using He's basically using hypnotism and suggestive language to turn people against each other, or black people against each other. And this all then culminates, I think, with him going back to the apartment. He has the noose in his hand, and it cuts to old Will, in his wheelchair, and we see him on the side of the road in Tulsa.
Well, we skipped over a scene, but I think
we did.
I can summarize it here.
Yeah, we did.
June leaves.
June leaves. Yeah.
Moves back to Tulsa. And
Yeah.
That's how we get.
Yeah.
What's her name?
She tells him to stay away from the. She tells him to stay away from the kids.
He aggressively grabs his child
Because he was dressing up like him.
Yeah.
He had the face makeup on, he had the noose on, and he's like, "Hey, I look like or I'm you." And I guess that kind of sent him off the fucking deep end a little bit.
And I guess June decided it's not safe for them.
What do you guys think the motivation was in Will's reaction to his kid? Do you
Well,
think
he-
it was
he
like,
had
I just
just-
don't want you to become like me?
Yeah, he just killed a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Like a second ago.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, don't be like me, and also like I'm pretending to be white out of necessity. You can't do the same thing.
Do you think there's any shame in Will because he had to pretend to be
Oh,
white?
I think, I think him
a little bit,
seeing
yeah.
the white makeup on his son's face,
Especially
caused
after seeing a bunch of like all these African Americans
and especially
killing
because
each
the
other.
kid doesn't know what it means.
Yeah.
The kid just thinks it's like for fun.
Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, June ends up leaving him, tells him that he stay away from his son, and then we flash to.
And I guess the vigilanteism has taken a toll on the relationship. They didn't really explicitly show that.
Yeah.
All we understand is that June is leaving because of how he grabbed the child, I guess.
Well, the anger too.
Yeah.
Like-
apparently the anger, but we didn't see him being
That
so
was-
angry.
Yeah, that was a little like.
He
like-
wasn't so violent that they should have had to leave because of that scene. Like
Yeah.
that's what I
No, and it was
I
like
think-
such a like. It was so obligatory. It was like, oh, like you did this one thing. I'm leaving. I'm not talking to you
Yeah.
about it. It's
yeah,
just I'm just
that
leaving.
was like
It's like such a split-second decision. Anyways,
that. It seemed like there had to be other stuff going on that
Which
they
it never
didn't tell
showed.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
because you can't leave just because of you got into one fight about something.
so does everybody feel like does everybody feel like June was justified in leaving?
I think we get the feeling that she knows that he loves somebody else. I think that there's hints of that. But
yeah. So we have to assume
she
there
the
was
beard?
something.
Is she a beard?
Yeah.
You think she's a
I
total
think
beard?
she is. Yeah.
Yeah?
I don't think he feels anything for her. So I think that happened. Well, I don't just because that one scene when they're in bed together, there doesn't really seem to be
she tells him
chemistry.
she's pregnant, and he's just like, cool.
Yeah.
No,
like,
he smiled.
Yeah, he's not like happy
Yeah, he
about it.
he put his arm around her, and that was about it.
And then even when she's like, "Oh, like tell me what you liked about me or whatever," he doesn't. He just talks about her as a
He's
child.
kind of
He doesn't-
restrained. Yeah.
he doesn't like say anything about her body or anything like
Yeah.
that.
So like,
So he's gay?
Is he?
I don't know if he's gay, but I don't know. I don't think he's in love with June.
He's more into men than women.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if we can conclude based on
him
two
having
people.
sex with a man?
Well,
He's gay.
we don't know if he's gay or bi.
Oh.
He also has sex with June apparently because they have a kid together. So
if she's a beard, then
yeah.
yeah.
We don't
Okay.
know. I
It
think
could
that's, the implication is that she's a beard, I think, but we don't know.
So, your question is she justified in leaving, not with the scenes that are shown?
Yeah, I don't think
although
they showed enough.
We have to make a leap, I guess, an
Yeah.
assumption leap, which I think is like lazy writing, but yeah.
Yeah, they could have.
You can't cram.
They
all
could have
that.
put a couple more scenes in to deteriorate the relationship, but
So we hear her talking about his anger. Do you think Will ever hit her? Or was
No.
violent with
No.
her?
he wasn't even aggressive towards her, not even
Not
a
even-
little bit.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
like,
I didn't get that vibe either.
I would have had
Plus,
to see
I think
that
she would
more.
kick the crap out of him. Honestly,
Even when he
I
grabbed
kind
the
of-
kid, it was more like out of shock. I didn't get the
Yeah.
feeling that he was like gonna
yeah.
hit the kid or
Yeah.
something. I just got the feeling like, oh my god, you have white makeup on. Oh no.
Yeah.
And he tries to wipe it. Like
Yeah.
it was nothing like.
So basically, all of Will's anger is aimed at horrible white people.
I agree with Chris that they could have made him more angry. They could, if it was like true Watchmen style, they would have made him angry towards his family
Yeah.
as well.
Okay,
So okay, Judd Crawford.
pick it up.
Yeah, so he has his technology now, the projector technology.
He knows about it. He knows how it works.
he takes it. He takes the projector from the
Right.
warehouse.
Right.
And then makes his own thing. So big reveal, he actually doesn't hang Judd Crawford. He makes him hang himself.
Yeah.
So we
That
cut
was
to
cool.
we cut
That
to
was
this
so
scene of the first episode of him spiking Judd Crawford's tires, and then we figure out how he does it. He mind controls them the same way that the Cyclops mind controlled the theater, and tells him, drag me over there, and then weirdly takes him out of the spell for a sec, and then talks to him. And what does he say?
He talks to him about being like the Cyclops and the KKK. He's like, you have a Ku Klux Klan uniform in your closet.
Yeah.
And he said
Judd
something
Crawford
about
says
that it was
I'm trying
like
to
his-
help you people.
Yeah,
John
yeah.
says
he
it
said
was
that
my
too.
grandfather's. That's my history.
That's my
his
legacy.
legacy.
my
Yeah.
legacy.
Yeah.
No, but he says I'm trying to help you. So his plan with the governor is more complicated than it seems.
It is 100%
Right.
more complicated than it seems because Crawford is apparently
okay,
one
so-
leader in a unit,
So
right?
what I meant by that is that it's more complicated in the sense of its motivations or its aim,
Right.
not its like methodology or whatever. But
Oh, okay.
so because he clearly he could be disillusioned for sure, and he could be like this self-righteous like motivation that he has in his head, but he somewhere in there's an element that lets him believe that he is trying to help black people apparently. So we have to find out what that is. And then he tells him to hang himself.
Sure, he says that, but maybe in his mind he's not like. Maybe in his mind he's trying to help black people, but
That's what I mean. Like
Right?
he's
Yeah.
like there's an element that makes him
there's a disconnect that just doesn't make any sense.
exactly
Yeah.
like just how like you can say that white supremacists
Yeah.
they have a motivation in their head that makes sense to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like so like we still have to find out what it is, why he thinks his plan is helping
Yeah.
is gonna help. Yeah.
I want to proffer the idea that that Lady True has helped him perfect this technology because it went from being a giant projector literally down to one fucking flashlight, right? And the fact that it actually looks like a flashlight is kind of hokey as shit. I really didn't dig that.
Yeah.
Like it looks like a flashlight that you would pull out of your car like when you
Yeah.
get stranded on the side of the road,
yeah.
right? Like if they made it a little bit cooler, like something more dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
He just puts it on like strobe.
he-
Yeah, he just
function,
puts it on a
and it's
strobe
just
and he like
whatever.
apparently he hypnotizes this guy.
yeah. It's a little underplayed. But I mean, I guess the argument would be to his defense would be he doesn't want Sister Night to investigate the flashlight because
True.
you know what I mean, like
True.
he wants it to go undercover, right?
True.
Or unnoticed. So he tells him to hang himself, and then yeah, and then he does it, and then she wakes up. There was there anything in between there? No, he just wakes up in Lady True's.
No, when the visual changes to Angela, you don't actually get to she watches Crawford hang without expressing any emotion at all. Like, and this was her mentor at one point, right?
No, but she never has her own emotions inside the dream. Sorry, remember I keep saying dream. Inside the memory.
Oh, that's true.
You can't argue that
she's just a spectator.
Yeah, she's a spectator. She doesn't control and she has no agency inside the dreams.
That's true, but
so that's things look.
That's true, but she also flashes through a couple of scenes too. There was the Minutemen, there's Bass Reeves, and it's flickering like it's actually like a film projector.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of see everything flickering, and then there's this older woman that touches her face, which is probably most likely her grandmother.
That's right.
Because it looks like an older June, and then she wakes up, and Lady True is sitting in this seat, dressed like a.
Oh, I love that. That was cool.
A very, I don't know. She looks like she's gonna do yoga for like the rest of her life. I don't know.
Well, I get the feeling that that's the vibe
Yeah.
of the Watchtower. It's like this like sanctuary of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the stuff that's in this episode, because like honestly, the fact that Damon Lindelof has taken this character and made him the first superhero is right.
Yeah, I was not expecting that. There's no way I could have predicted this would go this way.
It's the right choice, because if you literally look at this era in time, nobody needed a superhero more than African Americans, right? And the fact that they took this hooded justice character who was wearing a noose, even in Alan Moore's work and in David Gibbons' work, right? And wearing the bindings on his wrists.
Mm-hmm.
And they made him an African American is like almost.
They gave him a backstory.
It's poetic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they gave him a story because
they gave him a story that made sense.
Moore and Gibbons didn't give him a story.
No,
so
exactly.
It's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So to make that character African American and to make his symbol be a fucking noose around his neck is almost poetic.
Yeah.
Like,
It's wild.
It's poetically brutal. And I love it.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing. And honestly, it makes me think back to the Silver Age and the Golden Age of comic books, and I'm just like, why couldn't this fucking happen sooner? You know, like why were we getting so many white male characters?
I just think there wasn't diversity in the people who were developing it.
I think they were thinking about marketability. Because if you notice, like the first superheroes that were like African American or black, or even like the first maybe not the first women, because I can't really think of an example. It's always been gimmicked as like it's it's not just Black Panther. We're introducing this new character. It's always Black Panther, the first black superhero.
Right.
So it's always this question of like marketability, where they're always thinking like. This can't sell,
right?
Well, it won't sell, but they're wrong. But you know,
Wonder Woman was one of the first females, and they definitely did that.
Yeah.
They definitely went with like, okay, like all the girls are gonna love her, and we're gonna give them accessories.
And it shows in the backstory, because it's like Amazonians. It's like not only is she the first women, one of the first like strong women superheroes, her whole entire backstory revolves around strong women. Right, so it really shows that in their storytelling that it's a marketing, not a gimmick per se, but it's a marketing tool for them, because they're stepping into new ground. They're breaking.
And there were a lot of
right?
toys. Like girls had the lasso, and they had the bracelets and all that kind of stuff, and the crown. Like
it
a lot
helps
of girls.
sell, is what you're saying?
Yeah, like
okay.
I think they thought of that too when they were thinking about marketing.
Right.
So.
Just to me, this character choice was some of the best writing that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I like the
me,
story. I thought it was good.
I agree with everything you say, with a small addendum, which is I do agree that like this was the right choice for this show, but because the show has already made a departure from the other works of Watchmen, because the Watchmen didn't have this very heavily race based theme to it, right? This like tone. So, but like for this story, yeah, it works. Like it's like almost necessary, right? If they're gonna do any sort of like
Yeah, it's been
revisit.
modernized for sure.
But like,
Yeah.
but my point is like in the original story of the Watchmen, it was mostly about like it was mostly about justice and greater good.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I don't think it would have fit in that story because it didn't really explore that there. But yeah, for this story, like you'd have to see it as
Well, it
as
was
an
about
independent thing.
to me the original work was about what cost would you pay to do the best thing possible
Yeah,
for
greater good.
humanity, right? Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's what my takeaway was.
In episode 1, we were surprised to see that the conflict was going to be about a race-based conflict.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
it kind of making more sense and fitting with the story now at this point in time, or how do you feel?
Oh
about
no,
that?
I've given up that reservation by episode 1. I'm like, okay, so they're making a fucking like a race thing. I was disappointed because that's not like I'm one of those people that wanted a Watchmen thing. I don't hate the show because of this reason, but I'm one of those people that got excited about this show because it's a Watchmen property and I wanted to revisit this world, and that's not what I was promised in the trailers. And I said this before, like a lot of the reasons why I have a lot of reservations with this is because we made so many theories about this show beforehand that like now it's like this completely different thing. And like they're just standing on a soapbox. It's fine. Like it's a good story. It's well written. I'll never say that the story is not well written, but it's not what I was expecting. It's not what I wanted, and I still like it. Right?
Well,
I like it. I like the new
Yeah, I still like it.
characters.
I love it.
And I like how they tie. I like
love
how
it.
they're creating a universe around the Watchmen. So we got a story with the Watchmen, and it had a beginning and an end.
Yeah.
And I like how they're just creating a new story that's still within the same
Yeah.
world.
One of my
And,
favorite
like,
things is
I'm glad they went with a different time period. I'm glad at least there's
It's-
like
yeah.
a time gap in between.
What I really love about it, and I've said it before, is that like this like piecing this perfect parallel world of what would actually happen in that reality. Like, so it's like it's our present time, and they completed this world to every atom that they can think of. If you considered how history would have played out with their perspective, so the world building is one of the things I love the most about this. Yeah, so there's pretty much, and like I said, like I like the story for sure. It's
And
just
we still have
wasn't what I
Ozymandias,
promised.
so I'm curious to see how he's going to tie
Ozymandias?
into.
Yeah, no,
Aha!
we do.
Let's talk about this. So what do we like? So what do you think? He's on Mars?
Dude, I don't know where the fuck
Yeah.
he is, honestly.
So I was right.
I
yeah.
I don't know
think-
where the fuck he is.
It looked like a moon. It looked like he's on
Yeah,
some
it was
kind of
a- it was
moon.
a- it was on a moon,
We
yeah.
had speculated that it's maybe our moon, or it could be
Yeah.
a moon
Okay,
of Jupiter,
so-
because the planet in the background kind of looks
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Jupiter.
So like my first prediction was like he was on Mars because of Dr. Manhattan, right? And he built. So I do think it's Dr. Manhattan that put him there for some reason. Obviously, we don't have enough reason why he's there because Dr. Manhattan would never have done that, right? Like because he's too logical. But if there is a line that he could do it, if there's a line of reasoning that would lead him to this, I think he's the only one that could have done this, because who has time space technology, right?
Right.
And also, one of the reasons is you guys missed this, I think, last week. He says to the game warden, like, your god has abandoned you. He's talking about
Oh.
Dr. Manhattan. It has to be, right? Because it's like Dr. Manhattan's not there to police him, but he left this game warden guy or whatever it is to police him. So it's like he says, like, like the only reason why I'm able to make the moves I'm making while trying to escape, when I'm trying to escape, is because your god has abandoned you. He's not here anymore. So
Right.
Dr. Manhattan doesn't care anymore, but he put him there, like he imprisoned him in the first place. I think it's Dr. Manhattan, for sure.
I think it's gonna have to do something to do with the watchtower
Yeah.
and Lady True.
And I think that satellite was Lady True's satellite.
yeah,
Because the
Or
world doesn't have
something.
satellites, right? I don't think the world has like this widely used satellites. I think only like the rich elite scientists have it.
That's probably why she had to buy that property, because she couldn't let the
Yeah, so
authorities find out about it.
She sees him, I'm thinking, right? She sees him when he says "save me," and then like rescues him, and then he lands on this property.
which
and
makes
she
me
buys the
think it was
property.
our moon that he was on, because she looks through the telescope on that one episode?
No, that was Ozymandias looking through the telescope.
Oh yeah, okay.
But like you're right. There was
but
that
then
planet.
it like zoomed out to the watchtower. Like when he's looking, it goes back to the watchtower.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So anyways,
Well, let's wrap things up on this one.
Yeah.
But honestly, I feel like this is one of the most important pieces of racial commentary that's ever been put into film, television format. Like, I think that this was more important than Black Panther. Shoot me, but like sure. I really do. I really feel like this series has said much more about the African American experience in North America in the last 150 years than anything that I've seen in terms of through Marvel or through any other body, because like there's been so much commentary, things I'm not even aware of, like the whole Tulsa 1921 Black Wall Street. I had no idea that was even a thing, right? And that really shifted my perspective, and everything else thus far has shifted my perspective greatly.
I'd agree with you for the most part. But there were some weird things like, like riots in Harlem or whatever. It's apparently justified by mind control by the Ku Klux Klan, right? Like so, like the whole like everything parallel universe. Anything that happens in the parallel universe is kind of like this weird mirroring of so this weird, like it didn't actually happen, but this is a good view on like this other world. So they can make like social commentary in a abstract way, but when they're doing like real events through Will Reeves's perspective, that's more important because that's actually real, and it actually does like give you their experiences. But then they do weird things like so like this thing that happened. I don't know if it's a real thing. The Harlem
like what
riot.
Captain Metropolis is talking about.
No, the whole mesmerism, and then everybody in the theater killed each other.
No, I think maybe they took some artistic license with that, obviously, because the Cyclops thing had to be a grander conspiracy than just a bunch of fucking crackers trying to kill African Americans or hurt the black community. They're just a bunch of Peckerwoods just doing what Peckerwoods do. Right. And I think they needed some artistic license to kind of make it more interesting. Right. I don't think mesmerism is actually played into any race riots. Maybe
that's why I'm hesitant to make. That's why I'm kind of hesitant.
I never looked into that. So
that's why I'm really hesitant on making like like making this as like a flagship of social commentary when a lot of like ridiculous things also happen here.
Sure,
but it's very transparent when they're trying to make a statement, and they're always kind of like right in that way. But just taking what they did with the Hooded Justice character. Oh yeah.
From being completely unidentifiable in the world of Moore's work, and then taking his aesthetic and just using that and just saying to themselves, I'm sorry, but the most fucking common sense move is to make this character African American retroactively, right? And to make him the first hero in this story, the first hero to inspire all heroes. Just it screams so much to me. It is so fucking loud because honestly, during those times, there was nobody that needed somebody to stand up for them more than the disenfranchised and the underrepresented.
Well, I think that he was playing on a trend that we're seeing in the comic book world anyway.
I see that too.
We're seeing an increase in diversity. So
I see that too.
I think that's what motivated it. I think that's where it's coming from. But I like how he took a historical piece, like a really old comic, and kind of like put it in there and created his own story about how this type of
the connection with Action Comics 1 was like really interesting, right?
So
but
he was it seems like he was thinking about it. It seems like how he was thinking about how these old comics were racist in a lot of ways.
They were totally there was a lot of comics that were racist.
They were, and there's a lot of stuff in there. I read them, and it's like there's some of the ways that the women characters are treated as cringy. Like I can't go back and read really old comics.
Yeah, but you can say the same thing about gangster rap. Like it all happens in all cultural forms, right?
I've tried to read like really old comics, like oh cool, like number one of whatever, and like I find it online or something, and then you try to read it and it's just like oh I can't.
Secretary's love interest. Yeah, no.
Fridging.
So,
Fridging. Yeah, no, I definitely get that. But listen,
like I've picked up an old comic here and there from like a used bookstore, but no, I can't.
No, but listen, I think Lindelof and his creative team deserve a Peabody for this series. I really do. I really feel Peabody level work here.
And also, I'll give you that in the comic book world, I think it's a really good piece of social commentary. I don't think like
but I don't even liken it to the comic book world anymore. I don't at all.
I just don't think I've seen enough black cinema to say that this is like the work that gives them a voice kind of thing.
But that's the crazy thing, is that the majority of black cinema is exploitive. It's not enriching, it's not empowering.
I think
right?
What about Moonlight? Wasn't Moonlight also like some kind of commentary?
Right, it is. I said
I didn't
most.
see it though, so
I said most. I didn't say
that was
all,
pretty big
right?
when Moonlight came out.
Yeah,
that was a big
like
deal.
the work of Spike Lee. That's not exploitive. That celebrates black culture and lifts it up, right? But there's other stuff like
I've had mixed feelings about Black Panther. So when I watched Black Panther, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah,
like,
no, I definitely have mixed feelings about Black Panther as well. But listen,
as a white person watching that, I just felt like it felt really.
I think it's deserving.
Exploitative, yeah.
I think it's deserving of a Peabody. Like this series is masterfully written.
For me, like I think it has the works to become that, but I need to see how it ends.
All right.
Because they also we need to see if this becomes if this is a cautionary tale, especially with the present time of this world. Not so much this episode, because this episode was like I think was pretty brilliant, but like the present time, or like the main timeline of this world. I need to see if that's supposed to be a cautionary tale, or like
I hear you.
A world that they want, that they're like trying to push for.
I hear you. Yeah, you gotta see the conclusion.
It feels like in this world there's kind of a lot of equality. But yeah, I agree. We don't. But there's also a lot of
like evil that's happening that like that and no character has once said this is wrong except for Blake, right? But even she brushes it off.
Yeah, there's a lot of all the characters kind of have a little bit of sketchiness going on. So.
I'm excited to see how much power the liberal government actually has once we pull back the camera, to see why people like Judd Crawford and why people like O'Keefe are working behind the scenes to do something. Like I'm really excited to see that. I want to see the reasoning behind it and see if it actually makes sense. But I love what they did in this episode. So anyways, let's sign this one off because we still got more shows to jump into tonight. Thanks for joining us, guys. We know this one's been a little bit extra long, but this episode's been this episode was really important. I wanted to make sure that we didn't gloss over anything that was put into the show for a specific reason or a specific function, because I think that's what the writers really had in mind when they were drafting this. Like there's so many little things that say so much more than you think that they do. So I just wanted to make sure that we touched on all of that. So signing off, this is Frank.
Christina.
Chris.
Peace, guys.
Later, dudes.
Later.